And we're live.
And welcome back, everybody. This is episode 2 of the Cotch podcast. Remember that.
Way, welcome
This
back.
is yes, welcome back,
back,
everybody.
everyone.
Welcome back, everybody. Basically, if you don't know already, this is the show where we're looking to chat about everything that we know about, everything we don't know about, get some guests on that do know about something, learn a bit from them. Everyone broadens their horizons. Hopefully we'll all have a little bit of fun as well. And today's episode, we're diving straight into the murder mysteries with the big H. Pretty frequent guest.
Hi, everyone.
Part of the fucking furniture.
Hey.
And we have the infamous
Newt.
Nathan. He
Newt,
comes in
Newt.
many names.
Hey, Newt.
Trickster.
There's no Sam Vape though today.
Thank you for having us, Yak.
That's what's a pleasure, boys. It's a pleasure, boys. Right, I'm gonna start. Be patient with me because I have to give you all the context and everything. I'm just gonna start, okay? Right, okay. So this happened in 2001, Essex, UK. I don't know. Do you know who Michael Barrymore is?
Yeah.
I know the name, but
He's a
Basically,
comedian, isn't it?
like
I thought it was a singer.
no. Well, this is the thing. Old school entertainer. So he'd come on,
okay,
do
yeah,
a set, sing a song, sort of like your old school Saturday night entertainment. In the 90s, he was actually the big... It's hard to imagine because you can't... When you say Michael Barrymore, face doesn't pop up like Bruce Forsyth, Ant and Dec sort of thing, innit? But he was the biggest guy in the 90s.
With Princess Diana.
I don't know.
What was it?
Maybe you've made a mockery of my research. But basically, we're talking about a very famous guy. It's kind of hard to feel it when you weren't alive then, but imagine the sort of, I don't want to say Kim K because they're on fame that no one else has ever seen in history, but do you know what I mean? Your Oprahs and people like that, the big Ellens, the people on telly that everyone knows, that kind of guy.
He's a famous guy.
Very famous, yeah.
Famous guy.
Like seriously famous and seriously rich as well, which always helps, as you'll learn. Right, so basically it all started in a nightclub in Essex, and I'll name everyone that's involved because not one of them is outside of suspicion. So we have Michael Barrymore, of course, the famous guy, Jonathan Kenny, his lover, Stuart Lubbock, who's the victim, Kylie Merritt, Justin Merritt, who are friends and their brother and sister, 2 young girls, Claire Jones, who's 17, Kelly Campbell, around 20, James Futers, who's a local, and Simon Shaw, who was invited by Futers. These are the 9 people that end up back at Michael Barrymore's house where something happens.
Who are these all his friends?
Jonathan Kinney, a few of them have just sort of been invited because they're out at a club.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. All right.
He didn't know. So Stuart, the victim, he didn't know any of them. He was just at the club.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Stuart Lubbock, the victim, was out with his brother at a nightclub. Michael Barrymore has a fight with his lover in the nightclub, and Michael Barrymore ends up on by himself, just chatting to normal people. Stuart chats to him. He gets invited back to Barrymore's house, split up with his brother. He's off into the mystery of the night. So the first sort of string to pull on is that when Michael Barrymore got in the taxi with Stuart Lubbock and the girls, he tells the driver that he fancies a fuck. The lover that he left in the nightclub after an argument gets back to the house about an hour after they did, absolutely furious, according to witness statements. They calm him down, everything's cool, they start having a party, there's drinks and drugs. Michael Barrymore, I think, he had poppers in his system, etc, etc. And it gets to about 4 a.m, and Jonathan Kinney, Michael Barrymore's lover, Justin Merritt, and Stuart Lubbock, the victim, use the jacuzzi. So that's 4 a.m. 5:46 a.m, Merritt calls the police to say there's a dead body in the swimming pool. What happens in between? Nobody knows. So let's look at the possible causes of death. He had multiple physical injuries, that of a pretty horrific rape. Severe bruising, anal damage to the point, and you'll have to excuse if I don't preemptively warn you that I'm going to get graphic. One account said that his arsehole was the size of an orange.
Bloody hell.
So like that's pretty fucking severe sexual assault, isn't it?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you'd think that would be that you'd see that, yeah, someone in a pool and they've been sexually assaulted, yeah. You would assume that the sexual assault had something to do with the death, yeah. You would, innit? Not according to the first pathologist, but this is where there was 5 pathologists they use to state the cause of death. The first one, well, basically they all had been told that the victim had been in the pool as a matter of fact, so they all then based their judgments entirely off of the fact that he was face down in the pool. But he was only in the pool according to oral accounts. Officials found him next to the pool. No one official ever saw him in the pool, and it turns out that they never tested the pool to see if anyone had gone in there, but we'll get into that. Right, so the first pathologist, Dr. Michael Heath, says that he died from immersion in water. This was the first pathologist. When you use the first pathologist, you never think you're going to have to use a second or third, innit? You take their opinion. The court of public opinion will accept that authority in it when it's out in the papers the next day.
Is that the official way of saying drowned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I should have said that. Immersion in water.
Nah, that's cool, man. It's cool.
Sounds like you just got dipped and then died later, innit? I dipped my toe in earlier. And Dr. Michael Heath was often used by the Home Office, so our government. And I will add as well, the victim's father and his solicitor produced a case to fight it again. And the day after they produced their case, Dr. Michael Heath resigned. Dozens of inquiries started into his past work. Turned out he had a habit, and I'll quote, of arrogantly missing vital evidence. And let me just read to you what he'd missed, which is just incredible. He failed to make any note whatsoever of the length and depth of the lacerations in Stuart's anus. How would you be able to tell what went up there, how it did, whether it was consensual if you didn't actually look at the damage? Failed to make any description at all of the damage to the anal canal. So didn't even mention it, that there was damage. Failed to make a histological examination of the lungs, which is normal practice when someone drowns. Failed to call for a sample of water from the swimming pool, which would have provided evidence of diatones in the pool, which is the chemical reaction that you can tell a human body's been in there. And failed to mention the blood spots. These blood spots are pinhead-sized blood spots around the face and neck that imply suffocation rather than drowning.
Epstein. Sorry.
Yeah. So he missed all of that. But the other 4 pathologists, Chris Milcoy, he says he died of a heart attack / assault. He says, and I quote, definitely not an injury from consensual sex. Ian Calder, 3rd pathologist, says he dies of asphyxia, suffocation. He says there's no water sample, so no way to conclude drowning. Makes sense. Carey, the 4th pathologist, he says that he died from serious sexual assault. No possible benign or accidental explanation for the nature and extent of the injury. But in 2006-2007, Barrymore started, obviously because they just said it was asphyxia, they never really mentioned the sexual assault, etc., etc. Barrymore believed their injuries were caused either by hospital staff using a rectal thermometer. Do you know what a rectal thermometer is? Yeah. It's really thin. It can't cause that much damage. It's got a round tip at the end, so it just can't. You could be assaulted with it, but it wouldn't widen.
It's designed to be easy access.
Yeah, they're not. The hospital aren't gonna ruin all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it doesn't make sense for them to use something that would just completely rip your insides out, or by a necrophiliac. And he wrote in his 2006 book, which was, if you see it, it's like this book that's basically, woe is me, I lost my career and I didn't do nothing wrong. He says, the truth is there is no witness or forensic evidence which in any way supports the theory that he was attacked at my house. That is a categorical lie. So we've got the pathologists, the original pathologists, completely missing all of the evidence of the rape, saying that he was drowned, even though there wasn't actually any evidence for that. We then go on. Michael Barrymore claims to have found the victim, looking him in the eye as he found him. It was pitch black outside, so that's a lie. Jonathan Kinney, his lover, said in his initial statement that he found Stewart, but face down. James Futers, also there, in his first statement said he didn't see anything, and then in his second statement said that him and actually Shaw, another guy, found him, not the original two. And the coroner on the original case highlighted how no witness could properly explain or corroborate anything that happened around the injuries. So it's a complete mystery. The two young girls there, one being 17 of course, bit of a red flag as it is, were supposedly ushered into a back room, so know very little about what actually happened, but one later said that she was sure she heard people talking about a rape. So that's the cause of death. We've got the cause of death not down, but there's more suspicions at least for someone like us to just look at and see it's probably not drowning. Okay. The police, surely they found evidence. Well, they didn't take any statements at the scene, which they would, you know what I mean? If that was me or you, we'd have been taken straight down to a cell and interviewed from there, innit? They left it for 3 to 4 days to start collecting statements. They got Michael Barrymore's manager to take the pool temperature for them, so that they got someone who's intrinsically linked with the possible perpetrator, and they're getting him to collect evidence for the police. It was about 23.9 centigrade, so that's colder than average. Michael Barrymore says that he opened up the pool early morning to warm up, but it was new and it hadn't been used all winter. So we're talking about a pool that would have been freezing. And Stewart supposedly was in the pool from 4 a.m. when they were in the jacuzzi till he died, splashing around and having fun. And somehow everyone just left him there, and a really fit and healthy man. Because that's another point to make as well, is all the pathologists said that apart from what happened, he was a very fit and healthy man. Fit and healthy men don't tend to drown in swimming pools. Like they can get out. The same goes with women, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, there'd need to be something foreign in there.
Yeah. If you could swim, you wouldn't just drown in a swimming pool. The sea, bit different, but a swimming pool, you're what, 2 strokes away from touching the side? Do you know what I mean?
Well, we had a friend that passed away from something like that.
Yeah,
that was because of drugs, wasn't it?
Yeah. Got trapped in the river because of the plants that are down there and shit.
So it's things like that can happen.
Definitely.
But there's always got to be something else.
There needs to be some sort of Mother Nature factor in with it as well.
Yeah.
Another thing with the police, they didn't search the property initially. So a murder's happened and they didn't search the property. They then left the manager in charge of the property, didn't leave it completely sealed up. So it's an unsealed property. So people can walk in and out, basically. People walked in and out, and the thermometer and a door handle, which were in the garden of the night, went missing. These were the 2 key pieces of evidence. Because basically the pool thermometer was like the right size. It had cutting edges for the sexual assault, basically. And that went missing.
They think the thermometer and the door handle
could have been the weapons used in the sexual assault.
Oh, okay.
And they took pictures of the property and they're there, and then when they came back to search it all properly, they'd gone. And they were the only things that had gone, sort of thing. They never tested the blood on the victim's boxers to see if it was his or not, because for someone that was bleeding so much from the rectum, the boxers only had a tiny little speck of blood on the flies, which would insinuate that it was someone else's blood dropped on there rather than his own. Otherwise, it would have soaked through, sort of thing.
Oh, wait, so the blood was on...
There was just a drip on the top of the boxers. There was no blood where his bum had been. So they
it was
basically...
just on the front.
Something had happened. And my opinion would be that they then changed him.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he must have not had them on then, innit?
Yeah. So that's pretty fucking mad. They took
Jeez.
ages to test the robes that were nearby and covered in blood, and unauthorized personnel were allowed to stay and enter the premises. And I'll go back to this as well that I've already said about the diatoms in the swimming pool, but this is insane. Okay, there's been a drowning, inverted commas, and the police never tested the pool to even see if someone had been in the pool. They didn't even test it. It's just crazy. These sort of things that would have been done on the first night of an investigation had we been one of the perpetrators. The intelligence report that they read out at the original legal hearing stated, this is where it is, 2 people had been paid off by Michael Barrymore to not give evidence against him. And this wasn't mentioned in the recent documentary that came out on Channel 4. It's still worth a watch. It's on 4OD. Barrymore, The Body in the Pool, I think it's called. It's worth a watch still. Because you get to see, that's the thing, because the imagery of the documentary, you get to see what they all look like, and it makes it a little bit more personal.
Kind of easier to engage with, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when you see like Stuart, the victim's dad, Terry, and that. It's just like, it cuts through, proper cuts through. I couldn't imagine that happening to someone I knew, innit? Where, madness. The same coroner that stated that there was no corroborating evidence, everyone had a different story, etc., etc., said that there was an absolute wall of silence about what went on between 4 and 5:46. Everything else they can remember, but from that moment on, it's a no-go. But it turns out that at 5 a.m, so remember we're talking between 4 a.m. and 5:46, at 5 a.m, Jonathan Kenny, Michael Barrymore's lover, calls Michael Barrymore's manager. And on that call, the manager tells him to clean the house. They rush around cleaning the house, and the police weren't called until they cleaned the house, 5:46, about 46 minutes later. The same man who read that evidence to the court, Mr. Beggs QC, went on to say, after he was found, others were seen to help him, giving him CPR, but the claimant, Michael Barrymore, was seen rummaging through drawers, and he is observed carrying something under his arms. His counsel says that this was just a jumper, but he did pick something up and do a runner. They've all admitted that. But in fact, the official statement from Claire Jones, the 17-year-old girl, goes on to say that he had a bundle of material under his arm. First thing that comes to your mind is like material like clothes but material back then, paper, photos, pictures.
Oh, okay. What, so he ran off with a big pile of pictures or something?
Wrapped him in a jumper. He took loads of things out of the bottom of a drawer and wrapped it in a jumper. He didn't take a jumper.
Oh, so it's
maybe pictures of previous attacks, maybe of that. Maybe that's their thing.
Oh, so there could be more than one.
Well, this is it. Like they never, the police, no one ever goes into this or thinks about this because he's too big a profile to accuse someone of. Like, if you accused him of that, you're more likely to go to jail than he is.
Oh,
like, do you know what I mean? It's just mental. I mean, my Epstein boys out there will be drawing lines and two in fucking like crazy right now.
Trust.
So yeah, that's an official statement. And Jonathan, the lover, was rushing through the bungalow before the ambulance and police arrived. I got the impression he was hiding something, and that's the young girl. The 3 of them, the 3 that were in the jacuzzi with him and Michael Barrymore, ran to Simon Shaw, one of the people there, his nearby flat. So it happened, and they just fucking done a runner. You wouldn't need to do a runner. Because the thing is Michael Barrymore's now spun this as in he just went by himself because he was in such shock that he had to leave. I get that you would just find yourself walking down the road like what the fuck has just happened. But 3 of them ran away with stuff to the nearest flat. Like, you don't... That's not what you do in a panic. If we went outside and there was a dead body in the thing, all three of us wouldn't run down the road with some stuff out of your drawers.
Unless we had something to do with it.
Unless we had something to do,
Or we
or
knew
at
something.
least had other stuff to hide that this would then dig up.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, nobody knows what happened to him. Everybody bar the young girls are being very shifty. Could it have been an accident? Could everyone have been having so much fun that they missed him injuring himself to the point of violent sexual abuse and then falling into a pool and making no noise about it? Very unlikely.
Yeah.
Well, this is where it gets... I mean, it's already interesting to me, anyway. Yeah. But, well...
So, you guys, we're locked in. We're locked in.
The neighbours reported hearing screams at around 5 a.m, just before the manager was called. We know that the call to the police was made at 5:46. Okay, so the neighbours said they heard screams at around 5 a.m. The neighbours were never called in for evidence during the inquest, even though they gave witness statements. They sought out the police and gave statements and said, no, we heard screams. If they heard screams, the people in the house would have heard screams. There isn't any, or I don't recall, and I'd look out for it, any mention of there being music, or at least music loud enough that anyone thought of mentioning it. And if they were trying to bury the hatchet and get away with it, the first thing they would have said was, well, of course we wouldn't have heard him. We had the music up. It'd be the first thing you'd say in it at a party. It's obvious to say.
Yeah.
Nobody's mentioned it, so I can only assume that there wasn't music. It wasn't that kind of party. Like, they're older, innit? They get drunk and chat and shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the neighbours heard the screams. No one in the house did, apparently. And they never got called in for evidence. So let's go back to the physical evidence at the scene. We know his anus was bleeding even when his body was in the morgue, because it was that bad.
Jesus.
And I've said about the boxer shorts only having one tiny blood stain on the fly. So, as we insinuated earlier, did someone change him after an assault? Well, another weird statement that comes from nowhere, doesn't add up to anything, and turns out not to be true anyway, is that Michael Barrymore said to the inquest that he couldn't save Stuart, even though he said that he walked out and he was quite obviously dead. Said that he couldn't save Stuart because he couldn't swim. But his ex-wife and countless others said they've been swimming with him. There's pictures of him out at sea on a boat.
Michael Barrymore saying he can't swim.
Yeah, but he's got a swimming
He's got
pool.
a fucking...
Yeah.
What?
Innit?
What?
Innit? And there's pictures of him out at sea on a tiny little fishing boat without a jacket. And you would not be in the sea or near the sea without a life jacket if you couldn't swim.
Yeah.
Like, it's beyond that. That's like saying that someone that doesn't climb would just free climb a mountain.
Yeah.
No one would do that. The fear would override you, innit? That's just how it is. Okay, so quick little recap. 9 people. They go to a nightclub. Michael Barrymore and his lover argue. They get in the taxi. Michael Barrymore says to the taxi driver, I wanna fuck, in quite a seedy way. Lover turns up angry. They get calmed down. The party starts. 4 a.m. they're in the jacuzzi. Neighbours hear screaming at 5 a.m. About 15 minutes later, Michael Barrymore's manager is called. 5:46, there's a call to the police. Michael Barrymore does a runner. Police do not conduct a search and or witness statements. They leave the property unsealed. Evidence missing. Manager takes the temperature and collects evidence. No one tests the water for drowning. First pathologist, miss injury specs. Drowning ends up disgraced. Everyone was the one who found Stuart. No one knows how he got injured. Blood evidence ignored. Witnesses paid off. Witnesses not called. An open verdict was the verdict they came to, our lad, on the case, which means that they just couldn't determine what even happened, let alone charge someone.
Yeah.
He's since been on Celebrity Big Brother. This is where you might remember him. Do you remember the series with Chantel, the Paris Hilton lookalike, and Preston from The Ordinary Boys? And they were a bit of a famous...
yeah.
Jimmy Savile was on it that year.
Oh my
hell.
god. Barrymore and Jimmy Savile was both on it
Yeah,
at the same time.
mad.
Fucking hell.
That's deep.
What the rest of them done?
Yeah,
then?
he about 7 months ago. So I think it was like July 19. He had a Piers Morgan life stories.
Yeah.
He also went on to Good Morning Britain, done a little round as they do, trying to get their career back. And as late as December of last year, 2-3 months ago, he was on Dancing on Ice, celebrity special, yeah? But Essex police have come out recently, and this is what triggered the new documentary, is that they've put up a new reward of 20 grand, and the shit cunt son, I can't just say the son, shit cunt son, sorry.
Wait, whose son?
The shit cunt son, the newspaper.
Who's the shit cunt? Oh. Oh.
If you don't say
the
their
shit
name
cunt
properly, then it doesn't come up as a bang for them. Like, fuck them, innit? Like, I
Okay.
actually despise them.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, fuck
They've
Rupert
done-
Murdoch.
yeah, exactly. But they've doubled the reward. So the reward's now 40 grand. First thing my bird said was, surely they've been paid more than that already anyway, to not say anything.
Yeah.
Like 40 grand, what the fuck's that to someone being paid off by a multi-millionaire? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck off. Like, all they'd have done is text him and said, reward's 40 grand, put 50 in my account. Simple as that, innit? I will also add that Justin Merritt, one of them, is now like a proper recluse, and he lives in a little canal boat somewhere in the southeast, and like doesn't talk to anyone, doesn't have friends or family, just sits on his boat, and it like really badly looked after and that. So he's also got like, he was a bit of a gazer and all that. Now he's got like what are those big earrings that you have?
Oh,
Stretchers and shit. So it looks like he went down a different path. I don't know, because I don't know him in it, but it seems like that triggered him to become a recluse and shit, and whether that's the stress of the case, whatever, something's going on. So like, it's quite I don't know where to start really, in terms of like how this sort of thing makes me feel. Because just imagine, yeah, like just think, in the documentary you saw his brother, who, bless his heart, looks like he might have been bang on the stuff.
Who, the victim's brother?
Yeah. He doesn't look in a good way at all. Very sort of, every time he talks about it, suddenly you just see his eyes go and he just goes back. So I don't know if he's dealt with it.
Probably
But
hasn't, because it
how
sounds like the
could you?
case is so open, isn't
Exactly.
it?
How
kinda-
could you ever?
Because I feel like with the death of someone you love, it kind of helps you to come full circle with the situation when you know about what's happened
you
and the
understand
situation
it,
that
yeah.
surrounds it. When it's that, like
Unknown,
when
innit?
when it's that unknown section of after they've died and you don't know what's gone on, like that's what really that can really mess with you. And then for someone to have that
And then
going on for what 20 years or whatever,
19 years, 20 years,
19 20 years, like he must be, that must drive you crazy.
Like imagine your sibling, your brother or sister, you go out on a night out, they meet someone incredibly famous, get invited back to their house, and the brother said he was like, all he was gonna do is go for a few hours, and then just so he could go to work the next day and say, you'll never fucking guess where I went this weekend.
Yeah.
And he died, and he was quite obviously murdered. And
nothing's done about it.
no, but this guy gets the guy whose house it was at gets his life back
Yeah, you're seeing him dancing on ice
on
while
Celebrity
you,
Big
while
Brother,
you're not sitting next to your brother.
on
like.
Piers Morgan getting a life story, getting all the easy treatment. And another really, really messed up thing as well is when the original case was going on, Michael Barrymore actually invited his dad to come for a chat, and it was turned out to be like just a complete PR stunt. Michael Barrymore didn't want to talk about what went on at all. All he did was just try and have small talk with him, and then the papers the next day misquoted the dad that's like, oh, I'll never be annoyed with you, it wasn't your fault and everything. And that's like completely like Stuart's dad went there to try and get some answers, and he just got turned into a PR stunt to get everyone off of Michael Barrymore's back. Like, oh, it doesn't matter because the dad doesn't care anymore, sort of thing. Like, bruv.
Oh, that's messed up, man.
It's so messed up to think that like something like that could happen to one of your family members and nothing will ever be done about it. And what?
Because of money and power.
Exactly, not because of like it was just such a mystery. Like it wasn't just someone in the woods completely by themselves and they like something happened to them. This is like quite a clear pattern of events, if you know what I mean.
Well, just hearing you describe it to like, I'm guessing you as well, it just sounds like
Two
duh,
and two.
like,
Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing. So many things like that do come across like that to us. So, I mean, I've got my own opinion in it. But if just quick off the bat, if you had to be judge and jury right now, what would be your verdict?
I wouldn't be like Barrymore did it, but someone's done something.
If we murdered someone and none of us came forward, we'd all get charged with it.
Yeah,
they wouldn't just be like, oh, well, no one's coming forward, so we can't punish anyone.
That's kind of how it goes for the powerful, though, isn't it?
They have to come forward and admit it.
Because if you relate that to like Savile and the BBC, it's kind of like
everyone knew.
Oh, everyone knew, and it's like, what? Wait, so who knew then?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh, so
are they still on telly? Do we need to know that they knew?
What do you mean they all knew? So,
yeah.
So who knew?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So it was these lot. Why are we not going back and so you actually aided in him doing his whatever? Yeah, and then
Is there anyone in show business not compromised? Do you think? I don't think there is. I know this is going into, for some people listening, this might be into conspiracy land for them, innit? But I don't think you would be trusted with that much of a public platform unless you are compromised. Because these are the biggest stars we're talking about that are compromised.
Yeah.
These little ones, they're not better than the big ones, and they ain't gonna be there out of talent.
Jimmy Savile was like one of the biggest people in the UK. A lot of obviously, and then what you're saying about being on a platform and being quite high up in the social hierarchy of life, and I'll just put this on England. I won't go into America because that's a whole other story. But with England, you're talking about people being given this platform and stuff, and this was something you actually touched on the last podcast about like how this power is being given to politicians, and now we're hearing about all the grooming gangs and all this. There's so much. There's so
we
much,
haven't
and it's
even
like
taken the lid off yet.
We're sitting there and everyone's like someone in the BBC knew about Savile, and no one's going after him.
Yeah.
There's MPs who know about all the rings and stuff. Theresa May, I think she
literally physically lost
a
physical dossier that she was handed.
Yeah.
I can't, off the top of my head, I feel like it's like 24 different people. I'm thinking 24 or 26.
I had 274 pages in my head.
No, I wanted to say that, but I'm thinking, I didn't want to go with that. It was 200 pages on 20 different government officials / MPs /
Hey, someone dropped the facts in the comments.
Yeah. It'll only take a 2-second Google.
But what I was saying is like, it's not just we think about it as celebrities are all in.
It's
this
just a little group of them that are a bit seedy.
It's just the celebrities, the weird creative types, and it's like, wait a sec.
No.
It's the people running the fucking world.
It's not about creativity. It's not about being arty or hippie or weird.
Put it this way: I'm not gonna say Boris is a pedo, but
it would absolutely not shock me.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not even gonna say Boris is a pedo because I haven't heard anything like that. But what I would say is, would you bet your life that Boris doesn't know anything about pedos? Do you know what I'm saying?
1,000,000%.
So now we're sitting there, us as the UK population, we're sitting there and we're looking at, and then it's like,
They all
Prime
must know
Minister,
one.
our Prime Minister knows about child sex trafficking.
Yeah,
That's mad.
yeah,
And people are going to vote for that.
yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
yeah.
It's fucking crazy. Like, it from what you said in the last podcast, it needs to be taken out of these people's hands. It's this cool club. It's this...
Yeah.
We're getting too much into politics. I'm sorry. I'll
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
for that.
yeah.
We're getting
No,
too much
no,
into
no,
politics.
no, no.
But
It's a good point, though.
back to Barrymore.
Well, I've already asked this about the judge and jury. What would be your verdict?
Yeah, someone.
And-
sounds like something's happened. But
Yeah.
we can't, like, without scientific evidence, we can't really know who did it, or at least a witness statement or something.
Yeah.
This is just from
Yeah.
my perspective of hearing
Yeah.
what you've said.
Yeah, because I'm thinking there's evidence that something happened.
Yeah.
There's no evidence as to who.
Yeah.
But like we
And
just
Barrymore's just the big name who was there.
It's
so
his house.
and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
his
yeah,
house.
yeah.
So automatically you kind of got to put
he's
his face on it.
gay, but that's the thing, which sort of derailed the actual investigation, is that all of the pushback against him not being blamed was that it was obvious because he's gay, so he must be a bit of a weirdo, and so that completely.
Wait, what do you mean? Do you mean like a Kevin Spacey situation?
Where it just
Whereas
completely
he's-
watered down
Yeah.
the argument to actually
'Cause
investigate, because they were all everyone that was for the investigation just
Mm.
wanted it because he was gay.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, because with like Spacey, it's like oh, he touched underage boys and that, and then it's like he was like, oh, by the way, I'm gay, and then it was like everyone kind of forgot about the
Oh, see,
problem
it
and
was
just
like that,
talked
but
about him being gay, and it's like,
He had come out before that.
oh really? I thought he came out with that.
No, he came out not that long before. Maybe I think it was a couple.
Maybe
of
he
years,
must
though.
have. Maybe he must have known that something was coming out. Then
But
that's the thing.
this-
I always
this
think.
is
I always
it,
think these people
bro.
they get
Never.
they get
ever,
an ear in.
Yes.
They get an ear in.
Don't ever. I can't think of the word. Acting complacent. Don't treat them like it's all just an accidental, happy-go-lucky mistake. Like everything that they do is calculated,
Yeah.
and 5 moves before any of us catch onto it.
Fully.
Like, there's people out there that dedicate their lives to researching the sort of shit we talk about, and they get no closer to a charge or prosecution or anything like that, because they are systems, institutions ahead of. We don't even know how deep it is. We don't even know the individuals. We don't know really which institutions are linked to it, even though we might have a good idea, etc., etc. So, like, yeah, to assume that, like, in my, like, I know it sounds a bit over the top here, but in my opinion, anything coincidental in the world of money, power, and wealth, ask twice.
Yeah.
Do not accept that as the truth.
Yeah.
Ever. Even if it comes from someone you trust, they just might not have looked into it and just repeating it verbatim, whatever you say in it. Like, when it's something to do with celebrity, politician, actors, whatever it is, footballers, coach, whatever. Yeah, nothing is an accident like that. They wouldn't even be allowed. They're not even allowed to do accidents because they're so tightly controlled by their management and stuff. Like, even in non-dark issues, it's still all fucking calculated.
Yeah.
So obviously the stuff they don't want to get caught out on is going to be calculated, isn't it? Like it's like when people talk about not going to Epstein and that all the time, but it's
hard not to.
Yeah.
It's
And
hard
people
not
sort
to.
of say, like, people sort of brush it off as like, oh, it might have just been this or that, and it's like, no, this is an operation.
Yeah.
Like, this is serious fucking shit. This is like military intelligence level operations going on.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, like you say, just that weird group of celebs that are a bit seedy and have orgies. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit more tied into the idea of power as well.
I think one thing for me that really sort of made me question a lot of celebrities as a whole, as opposed to just the couple weirdos, was finding out about Chris Tucker being involved with Epstein.
Yes, when you look at the
That
names.
one, yeah, when you see that and you're like, oh shit, like the guy from Friday, the guy from Rush Hour,
Everybody's favourite
the guy
comedian,
who was
innit?
the guy who's not saying that. I don't know. The Michael Jackson thing's a bit of a weird one, but he's the one who's coming out all the time and defending Michael Jackson. So then it's like, oh shit, is he?
Starts
I don't know.
to
I don't know
make a little bit
nothing.
more sense,
I don't know
doesn't it?
nothing, but
Yeah, mate.
I know something.
Yeah.
Something's going on. Something's going on. But
Bro,
I don't know, because I think the Michael Jackson thing's weird, because I don't know if I believe it sometimes.
Yeah,
I want to
watch that documentary again.
I mean, I'm hearing that these things all started alongside him leaving Sony, and they're saying that Tom Moretti, I think, or something like that. It's something like that. The owner of Sony, innit? Because Michael Jackson came out and said like he's the devil and stuff, and then after Michael Jackson died, he was like, "Oh yeah, me and Michael were great friends." I was like, "No, there's a video of him saying you're fucking Satan."
Oh shit!
So, and because obviously he bought out loads of Sony's publishing rights for like loads of different artists and that. Like I think he even had like M&M's or something.
Yeah.
Which is why he did the Just Lose It thing, I think. But yeah, like because he basically came up as a kid being used by the industry and ended up using the industry. That's around the same time that all the child sex rumors came about. So basically, the rumor is that Sony accused Michael.
Yeah.
Basically,
even
if
if it was not an accusation that they come up with, because someone might be like, well, those boys are real, something must have happened to them. It's like, you know how they say how they put them into situations where they know that that's their weakness or whatever, and they're on hand ready to catch them, and they'll go, oh, we've caught you, or you could come and work for us and we can set... Could they have known how, I don't want to say fucked in the head Michael Jackson was, but
he was.
Yeah.
He was.
A politer way of saying it, maybe out there somewhere, but you know what I mean. His dad committed what we'd now call child abuse.
Yeah,
like that's full on
people
mental
are saying he raped him as well.
Bro, it would make a lot of fucking sense.
Who knows? Like, they say a lot of, well, obviously him and LaToya both like crazy on the plastic surgery, and they say a lot of people, especially like not necessarily now's generation, because now it's all an Instagram thing.
Yeah,
but in that generation, a lot of people who were getting plastic surgery were people trying to not see their own face because of abuse, because of child abuse. So they want to change their faces.
That's why plastic surgery was so bad, inverted commas, back then, because it was literally to change the shape of your face.
Well, no, it was bad because it was
just like tweak your nose sort of thing.
I think it was bad because there was a lot of botched jobs done, and obviously Michael Jackson's was like the biggest botched job ever. Do you know what I mean? Like it was the big famous one.
Yeah.
And so people I think obviously everyone was used to natural, and then that coming in was like the new big bad thing. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I've just heard like psychologists and that say like, yes, that's a way to like hide from their past by changing who they are. But yeah, but speaking of creepy celebrities, there's a new one in there's a new one.
Yes, talking about how these tentacles spread.
They spread over
into
to
everything.
ITV. Is it ITV?
ITV.
ITV. It's
This
not just the
morning.
BBC. We're coming for you, British media.
Yeah.
All ears. No.
All ears.
Basically, as you'll all
What'd you say?
probably...
No surrender.
No surrender.
No surrender.
No
Oh,
surrender.
don't. That is the worst one as well. Literally. They still, you know, like Rangers games, they still chant, "We will not surrender to the IRA." And it's like, bruv, do you not realise that you're the invaders? No surrender to the indigenous peoples of this country. Again, like I told you, we need to just do a series on how people on the right don't get anything.
Future episode.
Nothing wrong with being right wing, yeah, but at some point you've got to understand something to be right about it. You can't just get it wrong and then say your opinion's right. Like your opinion might be right if your fact was true, but if it's not, then your opinion ain't. Opinion is not more valuable than the truth.
It's flawed.
Yeah, and we people that I know because I didn't go to uni, and it's very easy for people that didn't get educated well or take their education seriously to value their opinion more than the truth because it's got you this far and that hasn't.
Yeah.
But bro, trust me, your opinion is not more correct than the truth. It never will be.
Yeah.
It never will be. That's
Was there anything more on Barrymore?
Nothing more really. I was just gonna.
It's kind of good to just hear the story summed up in a different way, innit?
Is there a task?
Yeah. I feel like we were there's.
Is there a task?
Do we have
Is there a
homework?
task for the
Yeah.
viewers? What do you want the comments for?
You
Did-
have to
did
find
Michael-
the killer.
Find the killer. Nah, did
No,
Michael
go on.
do it?
Yes, actually, would yes or no?
It's
Just give it a yes or a no. If you've got a nuanced answer, put the nuanced answer. We
Yeah.
always appreciate a bit of thought.
We love opinions.
Yes,
We love it.
everybody knows something that you don't know. That is a
Yes.
fact.
Yes.
But yes,
So other celebrities doing
Yes.
some madness.
just before you thought, no, like, man, I'm trying to think of another way. It's like anybody can get it, but like anybody can be a perv when it comes to famous people.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, innit? Don't
Yeah.
ever think, oh, they look nice.
Yeah.
They don't look like because they're probably the ones that are fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like say too much because this is all very fresh. Not many people have done much work into it. So like,
Fuck it,
is-
let's just say it, man.
But yeah.
Let's just say it.
Turns out Schofield's a fucking peanut. Basically, I'll talk you through the dodginess, and we can make our own allegations. Right, so he made a big social media announcement in it, saying that he was gay.
Yeah.
Did an interview on This Morning saying
Yeah.
that he's gay. He's been struggling for it with the last few years. That's bullshit. It hasn't been a recent thing at all. 1992, I think I said about this in the last episode, about that program Spitting Image, that used to like, almost how like Simpsons, American Dad and Family Guy predict stuff because they
Oh,
know
yeah,
the
yeah,
inside
yeah.
secrets and shit.
Oh,
Spitting Image was very much like that. And it
Oh,
was very
mad.
like full, like it's the same show that done the Tory voters sketch where the Tories knock on the door and burn down the house and the guy's still like, no, I'll still vote for you, mate. No, and this is in the 90s, like, you know what I mean? It's one of them shows, isn't it? Like, it just cuts straight in. If you're offended by it, that's probably because they're laughing at you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
One of them. And Joan Collins, you heard of her? Famous lady of the show business world.
I haven't. Have you?
Well, I was watching Good Morning Britain. They've been at the Oscars this week and they had like celebrity guests and shit. And Joan Collins said everyone who knew him knew he was gay, so why'd he have to make an announcement? To which Piers Morgan cut across and started asking someone else another question. And Perez Hilton, you remember him?
Yeah.
you know
yeah,
Perez
I
Hilton.
remember Perez Hilton.
He's like a showbiz commentator. You know
his face probably.
Sort of like
Very
He's a
famous.
little like kind of half paparazzi,
he's like
half
the pap guy.
Yeah,
he gets
yeah.
access because he's the pap guy.
Yeah.
Like, he said something along the lines of, I'm intrigued to hear more about his journey, etc., etc. And wasn't there something to do with like, he didn't say like indecencies, and as he said indecencies, Piers Morgan again did his job as the good old bootlicker for the system, whilst painting himself as like completely the opposite.
Yeah.
Cut him off. And you're not talking about that. We don't
Yeah.
talk about our stars like that.
Yeah.
We like to cover the British people in cotton wool, as they would love to tell us.
You can enroll into Piers' protection program.
Yeah. Yeah. Just turn up at his house at about 3 8. No.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of knew that. Fuck it. It was I just remember when I read it, I was just like,
I thought you
I was like,
already
what?
Yeah.
I was like, he has a
Yeah.
wife. All the comments I saw, everyone was just going, he
Damn.
has a wife.
Yeah. Trust.
He has kids. What?
He's got 2 girls, I think, but they're both adults. So it's, do you know what I mean? If like without all the other allegations and stuff, do you think it's wrong? Before I get into the other shit, just from admitting that you're gay when you've had a wife and kids and that, I don't know, because like, if obviously we know now that he's always been gay, so it is wrong, because he's, as much as he might have loved his wife, he's used that as his front shot for his money laundering, if you know what I mean. That's the storefront, is having a wife
Money
and kids.
laundering.
No, it's in like when you money
Oh,
launder,
as in-
you have the shop front,
Oh right,
Do you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
Oh,
and the wife and kids is the shop front for his
I get you.
gayness.
I get
That
you.
may have ruined his reputation back in the day. We don't know. Like I don't know,
Oh, yeah,
90s,
I was-
2000s. So I don't know if
Now's
people...
the time. If you're gonna come out, now's the time.
Yeah, exactly.
innit, sort
Especially
of thing.
especially now.
Yeah. So 27 years ago would have been what? 90,
A bit like
93?
he might not have got as many jobs. He might have
Mm.
still been famous, but he might not have got to where he got.
But that's the thing. It's like in them times, obviously I wasn't around in them times, but I feel like it was kind of like in front of shop, you have to be straight
family man.
white male.
Yeah,
But then all the celebrities, including probably Barrymore and a bunch of other people,
are all secretly gay.
they're all
as well.
secretly gay, but it's like an open industry secret.
Yeah,
Where it's like a lot of the industry's gay, but then on the TV they're telling everyone they're not.
just because
Which,
that's their
To be
stage
honest,
image.
you're kind of betraying your own people.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You're the equivalent of a class traitor, innit? And
Yeah.
we've got to come out of this idea of having respect for that.
Yeah.
Like, no, stop throwing your own people under the bus. Just a
For
general rule, innit? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Everyone would get on easier if they stopped throwing each other under the bus to try and get up.
Yeah.
We'd all be up if we didn't.
It's like the concept of the house slave, isn't it?
Yeah,
The one that's in the house and
is better off.
is better off than everyone else, and
Yeah. So
Oh.
they'll shit on their own
yeah,
to just get that one job.
yeah, literally, bootlicker.
Yeah, bootlicker. That's it. That's bootlicker.
We're coining the term bootlicker.
Yeah, bootlickers. Fuck the bootlickers, man.
Fuck the bootlickers.
Be your own fucking man, innit? Oh,
Anyway.
whoa, man.
Schofield.
So yes, obviously, I'll just before I go on to the pervy shit.
Oh, you was gonna say, do you?
Yeah. Do you think? Because I don't know, man. Like, I think it's kind of harsh on his wife and kids. But like, if you did say he wasn't gay before, and over the last few years, gay's been more accepted, and those feelings that he buried as a child or a teen or a young adult or whatever was actually like, do you know what? Like, I have always kind of known,
Yeah.
and now I can actually be myself. I'm going grey. I've got 5 years maybe of having fun, like, and I'm gay, so like, let me have some gay fun in it. Like,
Yeah.
I get that, but like, he has lied to his wife and kids.
Yeah,
about, like, if
was
it was the other way round, or maybe not. I don't even know.
No,
Like, if it
maybe
was
not,
10 years
'cause I
ago, I think people would be like, "No, that's
See,
wrong."
this is where it's sticky, yeah, because obviously
It ain't wrong because he's
if,
gay.
if it's something he's,
it ain't that.
because it could be a thing of that he's struggling with it so much that he can't then talk
Be
to
at
her
home
in a way.
Yeah.
But then, on the other hand, like, to then string her along for not just 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 27 years.
Yeah.
That's when it's like you've not just lied to her.
You've had a life.
In
whole life.
essence, you've actually stolen life from her.
Yeah.
In a way, like it
Yeah,
should
that
have
is
been
very true.
it should have been a thing of at least just
She
have
can't.
the conversation with her. It
Yeah.
didn't need to be I need to come out to the public and
Yeah.
my daughters and all this.
Yeah.
It should have been at least, yo, me and wife chat, tell the kids we're just getting
Should we
divorced.
stay together?
If
or
you
stay
don't want to,
together for the kids?
or stay together for the
whatever.
kids
Yeah.
or anything, but regardless, the situation should have been he should have spoken to her. She
Yeah.
should have known. Maybe she has known. We don't know, innit?
Yeah,
we
it
don't
shouldn't
know.
just be like the.
But if he has
Look
stolen,
how brave I am
Yeah.
because forget about my wife and kids. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
lovely to me.
they're
They're
fine.
lovely
Yeah,
to me.
they're
But
nice, they're
I'm
nice to me.
being brave, and you think,
meanwhile you're on TV and they're crying at home. Like,
yeah, like
Sort
the
of thing.
act of coming out when you're on TV isn't that mad. Like
Oh,
coming out
saying
to your
about-
family and shit as a
saying
normal
about-
person.
saying
could
about
be,
the TV thing.
yeah.
Actually, no, I'll say in a bit when you say what you're gonna say.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool, let's get
Yeah,
into it.
yeah, let's
anyway.
get into
so what's
So basically, there's a boy called Matt McGreevy, and this is the alleged toy boy lover of Philip Schofield that has preemptively pushed him into a situation where he might have to come out before it comes out, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
Which might be why he did it on telly. But Matt McGreevy is like
Just to give context, what like how old was he and what is he?
Oh, I'll get there.
Oh, okay, alright,
I'll get there.
cool.
Don't you worry.
Don't you worry.
Don't you worry, my son.
Yak with the
I'll put him
facts.
bang to rights. Yeah, so McGreevy's like a young actor, has been since he was young. He came up through a theatre company called Two Faced, and Phil Schofield, I forgot his name. I was about to call him Patrick, and old Patrick from down the road.
Pet.
Yeah. Fuck, have you heard about Pat? He's got a toy boy lover. Oh, I'd get me. No, let's not.
Let's
Not
not
doing our own little sketches. And that's,
I hope we're doing this in 50 years, but that is how we think.
yeah, it will. It still will be, innit?
We're talking about Sam.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of old tots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't wait to be a
I
tot.
can't wait to be an old bird. Did you hear about my
And the people are probably
Oh,
sitting there thinking, get onto the fucking...
Yeah, just. I'm so sorry.
That's right, go on.
So
More about Pet.
yeah, so Pet Scof. So Matt McGreevy, the toy boy lover, came up through Two Faced Theatre Academy, which Phil Schofield, not Pat, is a patron of and has been since Matt McGreevy was quite a young child when he joined. McGreevy met him when he was 11 years old through the same company.
Whoa. Wait, how old is Schofield at the time? Do you know?
51?
51.
I think. Late 50s?
Yeah, probably hitting 60s maybe.
Nearly, yeah. He will be there.
Yeah. So that's a 40-year difference.
Yeah.
Damn,
yeah.
son.
And in 2011, when Matt McGreevy was 15, Philip Schofield followed him on Twitter, and they had a little interaction. And then on Matt McGreevy's 18th birthday,
Was there anything in the interaction, or was it
Like,
just
it was
a,
just
just
like
a little
followed
conversation?
because they knew each other through the theatre company. It was like, "Hi, thanks for the follow. How you doing? Been a long time."
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
just the
yeah, nothing seedy
okay
at all.
on the surface.
But yeah, he's with him allegedly now. He had an affair with him when he was 18. So he was 18. On his birthday, Phil Schofield invited him to ITV for a taste of television. That's old man Dick.
I call it television.
yeah. Show business.
I like to show my bit.
And he spent the day with Phil and Holly.
I'll show you the business.
Hey, Holly, if you're watching, hit us up.
Yeah. Big girl. No. So they interacted in at age 15. In 2015, so he was 19, yeah? You'll never guess who. But basically, Schofield was found having a meal with this boy. When he was 19 though, so it's legal. And you'll never guess who pranked him. And in the video, that's how like the allegations came out. Fucking Jack Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
Massive
Jack Jones pranked Schofield, and in the video, they saw that he was having a meal with this
Mad.
boy.
Oh my God.
Madness, innit?
Oh my God. Hey, quick one about Jack Jones.
Yeah.
He's like a Facebook prankster.
From
You
our
probably know.
area.
From our area. We also have some exclusive.
Oh, shit!
You forgot about that. Didn't
yes.
You? We
That's
have,
that's what I started the podcast idea of.
yeah, we have some exclusive
Tracks.
Jack Jones tracks.
Oh yeah, Connor found them, innit?
yeah, we got some exclusive.
Before he
tunes,
was
so,
a prankster, he was a
yeah.
cover artist. Like Conor Maynard.
So if you want to hear that,
Yeah,
drop a comment and we're gonna
Request the thing.
request the thing, and we got the.
Freedom. That's the hashtag.
Wait, I'm gonna bleep out what you just said because we can't let people find it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you got to record it as well, so in case it goes and gets deleted, it might just.
Maybe we should download it then report it.
It's like a whole covert operation.
It's
So
easy.
Jack Jones is
Just say
pranking.
he misgendered me. He's fucked. No, I'm joking. I shouldn't joke about that.
So Jack Jones is pranking old Schofield, and
Yes.
so what? In the prank video,
He's
having
the
dinner.
boy's sitting opposite with the boy.
Oh, okay.
So they were
Wait, is the boy
18 now.
the boy? Is this the original toy boy?
Yes, this is Matt McGreevy, the boy he knew as a child, interacted when Matt was 15 through Twitter, etc., etc. So they saw that he was having a meal with him. After he turned 18 and was invited up for a day of television, a taste of television, he was given a job basically as a runner for the show.
Yeah.
So
A runner's just someone who just does little
research,
not research. He'll just do little like fetch teas for people.
Oh, really?
and-
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
simple.
A runner's literally like an extra pair of hands.
So my guy literally just got him in the office.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A runner's like
The sexy secretary.
I thought that was
not even that.
I
Not even
thought that
that
was
much.
someone that just like did a bit of everything rather than like the T boy.
No. A runner's like
The T boy.
hold this tape for me,
Yeah.
sort of
yeah.
thing. Doesn't actually do any individual thing. He just does little jobs which are needed that aren't necessary. Like if you're gonna get a runner, more likely a runner you're gonna get in is someone with little to no industry experience.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna get someone with 3 years of industry experience being a runner.
No.
No one's gonna be a professional runner.
Okay.
Maybe there is on big movies, but
Yeah.
things like especially TV, like ITV.
Yes.
A runner
Daily
is just
TV. Yeah.
fam. He's grabbing the teas, bruv. He's
Yeah.
not. He's
Yeah.
not doing anything else.
That makes it sound a little bit more groomy.
Yeah. No, it is. It is.
Although a source does allege, although I don't know whether this clears him up or again just makes it sound more groomy, is that Schofield always took younger gays under his wing and personally mentored them. And he was also pictured with another young guy at the same restaurant in 2019, and witnesses said that they were having conversations with each other saying, I didn't know Schofield was gay, because they were so convinced that they were a couple because of the way they were interacting with each other. And he was fairly young as well, apparently. 18 probably, but still. And this Matt McGreevy, the guy, left this morning to go to Loose Women after there was a bit of a spat. And
that was in December, wasn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
after the runner, who is Matt McGreevy, said that he was furious that Schofield had fucked him over. ITV came out and said he was promoted, but all the members of staff haven't corroborated that, and they've said that he had an argument and left and went to Loose Women because he didn't want to work there. It weren't a promotion. He was doing the same job for Loose Women, basically.
Loose Women, ITV as well.
Yeah, daytime. So he's
Oh, so
basically
he's-
moved upstairs.
Oh yeah, they
So
just put him in a different room.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a falling out, and they were like, it's probably best if he works in that office for a little while.
Okay.
It's probably as simple as that, innit?
Yeah.
Um,
Why are they falling out though?
Yeah, exactly. And
Why is a
this is it. The
runner-
runner
why has
said
a
that he
runner
was
got-
furious that Schofield had fucked him over. So that means he
Yeah.
said, we can't have this relationship anymore. And this
Yeah.
guy's like, what? I thought you was gonna...
Wait, what did he say?
What? That's a quote. And
Oh, just to clarify, he hasn't actually said.
Wait.
He hasn't actually said what it is. All he said is
yeah,
he's
the
fucked him
the
over.
relationship in itself is still alleged. It's just due to sources saying about how close they were, chatting from a very young age, giving him favours, etc. You wouldn't
Yeah.
just do that for someone random.
Yeah.
And I will add, like, this boy isn't like particularly cool, isn't particularly good at presenting or good looking or anything. So there's no reason to give him a hand up and be like, no, we want you in this morning. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing intrinsically special from first sight that you'd think that it would be anything other than a personal handout. Than
Well,
like
unless he just worked hard.
Of course,
To be devil's advocate in it, he could have just worked hard.
at
They could've
18, he
yeah,
hadn't worked before on that.
Yeah, but
know
no. But
what
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying is he could have been on set as a runner. I'm just playing devil's advocate here,
Yeah.
innit? He could have been on set as a runner, and then they would have seen, oh, you're like you want to work. You're dedicated to the job.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we
for the
wanna-
initial getting him to be a runner, you wouldn't just pick a random person. It'd either be because you thought they were good or because you knew them. It would you.
Well, this is the thing, because a runner is such an unskilled job. Like you guys have never worked in film at all. You could be a runner tomorrow. It's that easy of a job, innit?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's as easy as your dad saying,
He's just
pass
1,
me
2, 3.
pass me the fucking pliers. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Dad shouting at
The
you
full
when he
potato.
fixes the car. Wait, what's that drink, mate?
oh, it's empty.
Oh.
And a source told the Shikant son, it was odd because they were so close, and then he just up and went to Loose Women, and they didn't seem to be talking anymore about Phil and the guy. And this does match rumours that this all started when Schofield was approached by a media organisation. So all we know is that Schofield was approached by a media organisation about something. He was approached, and then the next day, this triggered a meeting with Schofield, his reps, head of daytime TV, head of This Morning. They all signed NDAs, and they got the plan rolling for a gay announcement. So, what to someone that might not be
sounds like Kevin Spacey Volume 2, doesn't it?
well, this is it. A media company doesn't approach someone and then someone do a big announcement without that media company having had some dirt on them. That's
Or
the
some
series of events.
incentive.
Yeah, exactly. This is gonna happen. You might want to fucking go and tell them. It wouldn't just be like, oh, they're casting for a gay bloke next month. Do you fancy coming out and then coming onto our show and be like? It just doesn't work like that. It's too big a thing to come out and do unless it's because you can't have. Like, do you know what I mean? Media companies don't approach you and then you do announcements like that. It just doesn't work like that.
I wanted to say as well, with the whole actual coming out bit,
Yeah.
like the actual piece they actually did on TV.
Yeah.
I'm gonna misquote here, so don't directly
Yeah. Of
quote
course.
me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there was something along the lines of what Holly said that was like, it didn't come across as
Natural.
the words she used made it sound a little bit like
Set up, scripted. Because apparently
as-
Schofield's
as-
agent wrote all of it.
well, apparently it was like pretty much saying like, you didn't murder anyone, did you? And he's like,
Yes, because there's a
like,
bit.
there was a bit where she says
like,
something like,
yeah, like you haven't been. This hasn't been for
like
long.
you've
haven't had-
needed to do this
You
or
have to
something.
do this,
It
don't
was-
you?
Yeah, it was like you just have to do this now or something like that. It basically, what she said was something that implies, not that she said it outright, but the words she used were quite indicative of
the thoughts behind the speech
like,
were
basically what she said kind of makes what you're saying
make more sense.
a little bit more
Yeah. Yeah.
like maybe it's not just Phil involved here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not just Phil and the wife and the kids. It's
Well, this is it, because this also came at the same time that a Twitter account called Mr. Matt McGreevy has alleged that it's all gonna come out on Valentine's Day via Twitter.
when was this posted?
Like a week, 2 weeks ago.
Before the
I don't know. I should have fucking
announcement.
checked that,
Hmm.
because that's what I thought. I thought, is
The
this
announcement
someone
was
that's
about a week ago, I think, from when we're recording this.
I think it was Friday.
I can't remember.
No, was it Friday? Yeah, it was Friday. It was Friday because my bird was off work, so it was Friday. That's how we do our research around here, mate. All right.
Yeah. When Jake's bird works.
That must mean Epstein didn't kill him.
What are you doing next birthday off?
We doing
next
next
birthday
birthday
off.
off.
Happy birthday off.
I do love it when I'm off on my birthday. What? No, I never said that. So yeah, and also the alleged him saying that he was furious, he'd been fucked over. It did say that they were having an affair, and this came from leaked WhatsApp messages between some of the TV crew.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently it's all coming out on the Twitter account on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day may have passed when this comes out. We'll know if that's true or not, at least. But the first thought I got was that might just be someone investigating into it that's gonna blow the lid. It might not actually be him. Or it could be like,
I was gonna
like
say,
media
is that
companies are
actually
smart
his-
enough to set up a Twitter profile knowing that that will apply pressure to Phil Schofield. So like it could be, nowadays everyone kind of understands social media, so they can use it in a plethora of ways. This was 10 years ago. It was either that bloke or an investigative journalist. But
Yeah.
now it could be all sort of tactic. It could be
Yeah.
diversion from Phil's team. It could be, you just never know, innit? Like, you won't know till the dust settles.
Yeah.
You know how deep some of that shit goes as well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
People
Well,
planting accounts 10.
exactly.
10 years
If Matt McGreevy could come out and say, thinking back on it, I kind of feel like I was groomed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's gonna fucking be a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, they all came together. All of the heads, Schofield's team signed NDAs, got the ball NDAs, got the ball rolling on the interview. And the head of This Morning recently became his agent, and was the one who made sure the social media statements were word perfect. Word perfect. Why do speeches have to be word perfect
About a gay
when you're
announcement.
coming out about your own sexuality?
Yeah. All you gotta say is
How complicated
Yeah.
is I'm gay?
Yeah.
Like, it is 2020,
The only
innit? Like,
thing
we
that-
all have everyone has a friend that is gay or lesbian, innit? We know what they do. We know what makes them gay. You wouldn't have to be like, right, so I'm a thing that they call homosexual, and I'm not that attracted to my... Like, what do you have to be word perfect about? Word perfect. Like, that doesn't sound like getting a good message across or anything. That sounds like we have to make sure that nothing gives anything away.
Yeah. Word perfect. Yeah. That's
Hiding,
That's
not...
going for your murder interview.
Yeah.
Innit?
Yeah, make sure you have to be word
Yeah.
perfect.
You can't say I might have done this. It's,
Yeah.
I have, or otherwise someone's gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
At
saying?
some point, they know that
Yeah.
any hole will be pulled at.
And that kind of
Says a
relates to what Holly and being so word perfect
Yes.
actually in turn might have made it,
Because you're so conscious.
because you're
of
so
it.
you're so conscious of it that
Yeah.
there's sub levels of how you're talking that
Yeah.
could sort of
It's like
it's
kids.
that what I said earlier. I didn't murder him. Why are you
Yeah.
talking about murder?
Yeah.
So I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like kids, innit? Kids can't... If you're at a dinner table and you're at a house where table manners are expected and they drop a bit of pasta, something like that, they'll stare at the parent whilst they try and pick it up because they're thinking about it so much. They're focusing on is getting away with it. So they're
Yeah.
just trying to make sure that they're getting away with it rather than doing it.
yeah.
And it's exactly the same.
Please, can you edit that bit of him into the...
Well, just put a bit of pasta next.
no. Yeah, he just looked like the... Nice. Kids will stir. Parents. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's hard for people to hide things when you're telling...
When you're thinking about it,
yeah.
it comes out cryptically.
Yeah, definitely.
And funny that I actually just put, and he also worked on the interview with Holly, so he also wrote that to make sure it was word perfect. So your suspicions were correct.
Yeah.
It was scripted as fuck. And apart from those few in the room that signed the NDAs, the only other party who knew of the plan were, again, this is going to throw your suspicions in the air, were a 30 grand a month crisis management firm. You don't need protection from public crises until there's been a public crisis. This
And being
firm,
gay in 2020 is not a public
not
crisis.
something you'd be spending that much money on preparing yourself for. Do you know what I mean?
Especially Philip Schofield.
Exactly. A camp guy who everybody loves and trusts saying, oh, by the way, I'm what loads of people are now
Yeah.
and what you all are quite fine with.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say this because there is people sitting at home right now that are gay that can't come out.
Yeah.
Because they're, do you know what I mean? They might be from the ends or something. Do you know what I mean? They might have parents that are bare religious and that, and they can't come out. And like, Phil Schofield is not you in it. Like, he doesn't have to put up with the same scrutiny that you do in it.
He's a 60-year-old
Whatever
man.
he does, people will go, we support you. And, do you know what I mean? If you come out as gay, you wouldn't have people on telly all day going, don't worry, Phil, we support you, mate. We're all behind you. Do you know what I mean? And if every time someone come out, the news for the day was, yes, big up Steve today, he's come out as gay. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be a bad thing. So none of this applies to Phil Schofield. The normal coming out process.
Yeah.
We should do a big up for come outs on the podcast.
Yeah, big up everyone that wants to come out. Fucking do it, bro. It's 2020, innit? Like, people will get over it.
Yeah.
It really don't matter if you fancy boys or girls. Like, and you know what makes it more acceptable for people is how weird everyone's fucking sexual fantasies have become. That, like, even if you're proper
You got
against
something to confess.
no, but come on, like, you look at like the top 10 Pornhub
licking
research.
his lips, looking at them baked rolls.
Them tilly looking things. No, but like, you look at like the top 10 most searched, and it's like hostage situation, stepsister, mom.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so when you look at something like, and someone was like, I'm gay, 50 years ago, sex was a bit of a. So people think, fuck, you'd fuck a man up the bum. Like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
But like I know straight boys, blokes, that get done with a strap on by their missus and stuff, and it's not considered gay now because it's part of like the sex act. Like, if that's normal, being gay isn't going to be weird. Do you know what I mean?
On this topic, can I shout out of context porn Twitter?
Yes. Shout out the whole of out of context Twitter.
Yeah.
Punch them in the ghoulies, mate.
Yeah, they're fighting for the meme culture right now. But yeah, so this 30 grand a month crisis management firm started working for him 3 months ago when claims that Schofield was a bully started circulating. And
Was this after the
Ruth
court?
Langford.
Oh.
No, it wasn't that. No, nothing to do with that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, another fucking point. How was he brave? I'm sort of making your point that you've already made, but I'll reaffirm it
Go on.
and pretend it was mine. Is that
This just always happens.
I'm gonna say your joke, but say it again louder so more people hear it.
I actually
right.
forgot what I was going to say.
Yak the popular kid. We've derailed him.
I actually forgot what I was going to say.
I was
Trying to
saying-
be funny, man. Stop
I said
it.
about him and Corbyn or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How
about-
can you be a brave homosexual for asking a man that called you tank top bum boys for a selfie on live TV, whilst absolutely going for the man that has stood up for gay rights no matter what? Like, no matter what, he's been on the fucking cold heart pavement when he should be at home
Yeah.
fighting for your rights. So please don't make... This goes out to Pink News, Galdem Magazine, everyone like that, yeah? Do not make Phil Schofield some sort of bastion. I know Galdem probably won't anyway, because they're politically on point. But like, don't make him your poster boy,
Yeah.
because he's very fucking far from it.
Yeah.
Like, very far from it.
He's there for himself, not his.
Yeah.
Not his.
Yeah, if he was proud of
Newfound
being
community.
gay and everything like that, why is he covering his tracks? Why is the boy that he's had an affair with now working in the other office? Why? Do you know what I mean? Why is he apparently fucked him over? Why has he got crisis management firms? Why is he having all the scripts written for need to be word perfect?
Too many questions for there to be no situation.
That's a good. I like that. I'll write that down.
I'd say it louder than you did.
I think classic. I think
Right, so
I think what we have here is probably a regular on the Yak on the Cotch podcast. Bootlicker alert.
yes,
Bootlicker.
bootlicker.
We should get like a boot. We should get like a boot, and everyone has to look for. No, that's gross.
Yeah, that's gay.
No, we should. No, we should have. No, do you know what we should do? We should get a boot and then write every bootlicker's name on it. that we can find.
Yes. And one day we'll smack them all with that boot.
Start running around smacking people.
Lick my boot. So, I mean, for what I was going to ask you, does it smell fishy? But I think we're all in agreement there.
No. No, it's fishy.
Take it away. Do you think he was brave at all in any way?
If you're gonna say in any way, yeah, obviously, I think it's brave to
tell your wife that you're gay.
Yeah, to tell your wife
the brave bit.
after, to tell your wife after so many years is brave, but not tell her after so many years makes you a coward. So
yes,
shall we do? So put it so to. Think of like an analogy.
Someone who voted for the Iraq war coming out now and being like, "Oh, that was so wrong."
Yeah,
you enabled it.
Yeah, you're not brave.
You caused it.
Not even that, but it's like calling someone brave who's actually just being a bit of a wimp. I don't know, because I feel like even that might offend some people, because obviously people are going through situations and that like psychologically, but. I think, what I was going to say initially, I think it's brave for him to come out on TV.
Yeah. Because,
bro, you're not just telling the people you know, you're telling England plus whoever else is watching.
People just freeze up on TV full stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
people struggle to tell TV that they cheated on their wife and that's why they divorced or something, let alone being gay. That's a whole next level. So, for anyone, and this is more of a blanket statement as opposed to talking about Schofield. For someone to do that is brave. However, to lie, if it has been what he says it is, the last couple years, so if we look at it from two sides, from the shop front, last couple years he's been struggling with it, blah blah blah, got to come out on live TV, all of this.
That I have sympathy for.
Like having to tell your wife, having to tell your kids,
it's fucked up.
That's brave.
Yeah.
But if you've been having an affair
with a questionably
regardless of the questionably aged boy, that's a whole nother situation, which is awful in itself. But for him to firstly have an affair on his wife, whether she knows or not, that's a whole nother question. Like, I don't know, on the surface, he's brave. Yeah. But as soon as you start digging into it, is he brave?
He's been brave because he's had to, because of his cowardice.
He's had to be brave. And then, but at the same time, because I remember I was thinking, when I watched it, I was like, they keep going, I think one thing that, like, I think the, like, gays and, like, maybe, like, even some other communities as well, I can't think off the top of my head, but, like, I think... LGBT. One thing that, just the whole LGBT movement, I think one thing that they really struggle with, and something that actually perpetuates it and perhaps makes the situation worse, was the way that they were talking about it, being like, wow, you're so brave.
Like he's almost like he's a victim.
Like, this was such a big thing for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, making it as like, it's so... Then meanwhile, everyone who's sitting there with that problem going on is going to be like, wow, this is really big and overwhelming. Like it's got to be such a big thing about coming. Like, well, firstly, it's big and overwhelming for the person, and secondly, making the situation something that's like so big.
This is crazy.
Blowing it out of proportion.
Like,
Bruv, it doesn't matter. Like you said, it's like some boys get like things
some
with
boys do some weird shit with their girls, innit? So
some boys do some weird shit. So like. To talk for someone of the LGBT community,
just looking at them big whales,
and for someone of that community to talk about, and like even Holly and whoever else was on set, to talk about it as if it's such a big thing, and you're so brave, and let's coddle you and all this.
I haven't seen them treat
that makes it that makes the situation a lot worse. That's like someone coming out about racism, being like, "Oh wow, you're so brave about coming out about that racist thing that happened to you." They'll be like, "Wait, hang on. So that means the only way you can come out about it is by having this intense level of being brave." There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people with a lot of anxiety, and they can't. They some people can barely get out of bed in the morning. Do you know what I mean? And so when they're sitting there watching TV, seeing, "Oh wow, that was such a brave thing," you're then making them feel like it's not just, I've got to go and have that conversation. Like,
there's not just my bed. There's not compared to that whole furore over.
Well, there's not just a hill to climb. Now they're telling you, "Oh no, it's not a hill, it's a mountain."
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then that, I think, perpetuates it and makes it way worse. 100%. What they should have done is just gone, "Feels gay." 10-second thing on it. "How's the wife and kids?" "Oh, it's good." Like, clear up the mess about it.
Well, yeah, they should almost be saying to you, like,
"Oh, Philly, oh."
Yeah, they should be the ones looking at the camera going, "Well, do you think it's weird? We don't think it's weird. We think it's just normal."
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. The way they talked about it made it seem as though
it's almost as if it's something like, it's almost as if it's something that's like, it's something bad.
Yes.
You're
That's what I mean.
Prepare this thing to bring it to the British public.
Yeah.
It's like a child going to their mum like, "Oh, mum, I've got something to tell you."
Yeah.
And then it's something
like, and you've
so
fucking, I don't
minor.
know, dropped their fucking wedding chalice or something, and you broke
your
it.
makeup brush.
Yeah. Like, why is, in fact, like, regardless of the whole situation, like, why is that a thing that the moral high ground seems to sit with people that are straight, and you have to come to tell everyone, "Oh, we're this." Do you know what I mean? Oh, it should be just equal.
It's almost like telling somebody that's not white on a panel that they're there because of diversity. That's just a bit like so I'm not just here.
Yeah, I'm not.
It has to be a thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm not just here because I'm me.
I have actually got something to tell you, boys.
What's that?
I'm brown.
Get him
I've been keeping it.
You're so brave. Like.
How many times have you used the NHS? That's what the viewers were thinking. Are you on benefits? How big an house did they give you?
I think we've made the point, innit? But
Yeah.
You got any more? About the situation?
Going back to the start with Joan Collins and Perez Hilton, sort of implying that everyone knows and everyone might know about some extra shit. Like we were saying earlier, you were saying, sorry, we always fucking steal the thunder. You said about industry secrets, open industry secrets, a bit like the fact that he was gay. Like, it turns out everyone knew.
Yeah.
With the whole possible indecencies, does it sort of draw back the curtain on how not secretive and groupy it is, but how twisted and dark it all is, and that this is skin off a duck's back, water off a duck's back to them. So, like, what is being a pedo and that to them? Is that just a bit of indecence? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not enough for any of them to ever want to blow the lid off of it. Yeah. So it must be so fucking normalised that, like, but you do, like, I know, I'm not to go into, like, the Epstein shit. This isn't about Epstein, but this is more about, like, actual, I'm not calling Philip Schofield a paedophile. There's by no means any fucking evidence of that. There's evidence of grooming.
Grooming.
Yes.
And that could maybe be
wrong enough, innit?
Could be hand in hand. We don't know. It could be. We don't know. Like, man, he could be sitting there watching a 10-year-old being like,
"I can't
when
wait.
You're 18, do you know what I mean? Or when you're 16.
They stayed in contact and stuff, and it's just a bit like,
that's grooming. And to be honest, if you're grooming, you're no worse than a paedophile, really.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Like, obviously, like, there's levels to the shit. So, like, if you actually abuse kids and shit, it's a little bit different. A little
bit worse than grooming.
Yeah, there's a little fucking bit.
No, rather than go into how being a pedo is worse than grooming, it should be more.
It's different. It should be more.
Being a grooming is just as bad as being a paedophile, in a sense.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
This is the bad one.
It's different, but the same level of.
This is just as bad as this is. this is really, this is really bad.
Yeah.
But just because the thing you're
This is a
doing
different
isn't quite
type of
that,
bad.
doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's not as bad.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because you're snorting coke every weekend doesn't mean it's
You're
not as
better
bad
than
as
a crackhead. Yeah,
better than
yeah,
a crackhead.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
You're doing the same drug
Exactly.
at the end of
You're
the
doing
day.
an unwashed version of that drug. I may remind people that do coke out there and laugh at crackheads. They're taking the clean bit. You realise that, innit?
Done out.
Innit?
Done out.
But yeah, it's it does sort of remind you when you see them saying it and you see Piers Morgan cutting them off, and you're just like, fuck me, this is just day in, day
It's
out
deep,
for them
innit?
lot.
It's deep.
This is just part of the... But you
It's deep.
hear what some of them say, and some of them that have been known to be in amongst them crowds and in and out the showbiz industry. And like, I can't name them off the top of my head, but before next episode, I could probably find 5 to 10 celebrities, big names, that have come out and said at some point about how they had sex, or they know someone that had sex when they were about 9 to 13, and that it was fine. And they're basically pushing the idea that, like, if the kid consents, then what's wrong about it? And that is
Whoa.
that is a surprisingly common opinion
Fucking
amongst
hell.
amongst the elite. Like, that's
Jesus.
proper mad. And I'll actually do it in it, because I've said it now, so I'll have to prove it in it.
Yeah.
But I will, and I'll come with some names, all sorts of different industries and all shit, and they all allude to the same sort of thing that you then start to consider might be the belief that joins them all together, and they're all just differing levels of.
Wow.
Do you know
That's
what I mean?
deep. That's deep still.
But yeah, when you actually read the quotes, and you're just like, fuck me, these were people of authority.
Yeah.
Like, what, one of them used
And
to work for the Labour
maddest thing
Party and
about
the
it.
Green Party, and they said it. And mate, I'll tell you what though, like, there's a very high concentration of that opinion in politics, and I don't know whether that's just because the opinion gets aired more, but like, that makes me feel like it's the same with celebrities, because like, you see politicians allude to that more than you would a celebrity. But as we've seen with people like Boris Johnson winning the popular vote, people don't tend to actually scrutinise a lot of what MPs say unless the news continually tells them that it was really bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people have said this shit and it's just come and gone.
Yeah. Say that again for the people in the back, innit? Like, yeah, that's fucking true, man. That's true, and
It's mad.
and from what you're saying, not to get into politics, because I just don't really want to, but that's because of that whole, unless the media repeats it.
Yeah.
That is why all you lot think that Corbyn. That's the whole reason for. At least it's not Corbyn.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
because of
It's
the
like
media
Labour's
doing
the party
that.
of the middle class. That's
Yeah.
because the news told him it was. So
Yeah.
people that were working class sitting at home were like, oh, well, I can't vote for them, can I? They
Yeah.
don't represent me. I've just been told.
Yeah.
And yeah. Just remember what a journalism's job is: to find the truth and offer opinion, fact, etc., context, so that you can form your own opinion on the truth. Now they give you ready-made, packaged, microwave-milled, get Brexit done opinions.
And it's been going on for so long that they've perfected
40
it.
years since the
They've
Thatcher, Nixon
perfected
eras,
it.
mate. They propaganded your arse, boy. Our parents,
Yeah.
even if they're fucking smart and shit, they don't even if they see through the bullshit, because they've been so fucking indoctrinated. It's like people in America, innit? Like, no matter how much they know about Russia, they're always just going to be petrified of Russia, because throughout the 70s and 80s, everything had Russian propaganda in it.
Yeah.
Every bad guy was a Russian. Do you know what I mean? Every communism.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
all McCarthyism and that.
Yeah, and people just associate that with imagery and that, which is like the literal definition of fucking subliminal propaganda. You associate things to images and not the truth, the context, the facts.
Was there
And
any, Sorry.
And I was just going to say, and that's exactly what they do with this. The imagery is
Yeah.
that they're all brave and shit like that. So when someone comes out and says, hang on, he's a pervert, unless the news talks about it for 2 years in a row, the majority of people will still be like, oh no, it's only Philip Schofield.
It's actually mad when you look as well at like the whole Meghan Markle thing. Like when you look at like you can go and search it yourself anyway. Like go and find 5 articles.
People
on
say,
Meghan.
yeah, but they didn't say anything about her colour, and it's like, you don't have to make someone feel like they're being racist to them. But they don't have an understanding of how it makes her feel. So they think, well, I haven't said that it's because you're black, so you can't assume that I've just... And then people go, well, yeah, it's because, do you know what I mean? Well, quite right that we have a go at her and that. Name one thing she's done wrong. Tell me.
She wore the wrong dress.
Yeah. And Kate Middleton wore one exactly the
Caught a
same,
pl-
and they
caught a
praised her
plane
for it.
once.
But it's when you start to see like this thing happening over and over and over again.
They've been
like,
told
with
that
the
she's bad.
Diane Abbott, when they were saying that she had the shoes on the wrong way.
Yeah.
And was it Photoshop?
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
even know.
Photoshopped,
I don't know
yeah, it
what
was,
the
yeah.
deal was with it. But
People
trying to
still
paint
use that.
people to be like, oh,
Big
this
YouTubers
one.
still use that meme, and it's like, bruv, like it's not even true.
Yeah.
And like their whole fan base revolves around these little things being true.
Yeah, they're going on about how she got a couple numbers wrong.
Boy,
But when you
have
go
you heard
into-
about the Tories?
Oh yeah, trust.
Like, do you not know what's been going on?
Do you know how many numbers they fudged?
You know, she was like suffering from she's like paraplegic or diabetic as well, and she was really ill. She was actually going through like an episode when that happened, and
mad.
like, do you know what I mean? Like, you just couldn't be more wrong.
But they won't say that.
No, of course they won't. Of course they won't give their context.
The UK media won't say that.
No, context, we don't do that in this country no more, man. We don't do context, we do opinion. And then we just fight over that opinion, even if you don't know nothing about it. Which leads us on.
Leads us on to...
Brexit. It's Brexit.
Everyone get the little flags out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Nigel
it.
Farage
Wave
did
those
that,
flags.
So
I mean, you've got to stand up for, the true people of this country, like fucking like German Nazi supporters, like our royal family, or the French invaders, which we're probably, a lot of us are more closely related to than the actual ancient Britons, which are probably all in Scotland and Ireland, that you continually oppress through the Union Jack. But yeah, please do go on how you're doing this all for the indigenous peoples of Britain.
Wow.
I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah,
That pisses me off.
fair. Get
Are
it
you
out
sticking
there,
up for a Nazi family in the name of like...
man. Yeah, they're literally
Like, it's
German.
bollocks. Like, and you can tell me you go to these patriotic rallies and you're not racist and all that shit. You are still stood next to people doing fucking Nazi salutes, wrapped in fucking St. George's flags, saying that they're doing it because they're angry because people have forgotten about the sacrifice made in the war against those same fucking people. You can't stand next to them and say, oh no, we don't agree to that. We just like waving our flag. But do it somewhere else then.
Yeah.
But this
No,
is it.
for
People don't want to be honest, man.
Well, let me ask you a question then. Because obviously...
And I voted Leave, by the way. It's important context.
Yes,
I despise the EU.
He's a Labour voter who voted Leave.
Yes.
We had an argument.
I'm a Labour voter and I voted Remain.
Yeah.
So, but like, I think a lot of people get it confused because they think that you instantaneously are because you're a Leaver.
Yeah.
Instantaneously, you're either UKIP party or some shit like that, or you're Conservative.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm a snowflake and all this.
Yeah.
And
You only
there's-
eat quinoa.
yeah,
and
literally, and
yeah.
like, whereas, because we've spoken about this quite a few times, and you've sort of broke it. You've even made me think, oh shit, maybe leaving was a good idea. Because the way I saw it, as just a young person who just heard the referendum, oh, we're leaving the EU. I'm sitting there thinking, I want to travel in the future of my life. So as far as I'm concerned, I just don't want to. I just don't want to have to get a visa every time. I just want to go fucking across the channel, innit?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's quicker for me to get to Calais than it is to London.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, I'm looking at it as, hey,
Practicality, innit?
Practicality. I want to be able to travel that. Whereas you were saying how things to do with how obviously there's a lot of unelected officials. There's a lot of money being taken out. Not to say that England's money handling is any good.
Yeah.
Hence Big Ben ringing for Brexit. But
yeah.
like,
and
but
turning Europe into the colonial power rather than an individual country. Of
exactly.
Europe,
And then a lot of people try and bring that round to Labour and be like, oh, Labour weren't about Brexit. They were like, no. It was the Lib Dems trying to stop Brexit.
Yeah, Labour.
It wasn't. It's Lib Dems, the ones who were in coalition with the Tories.
Yeah.
4 to 8 years ago or whatever it was.
10 years ago now, I think.
10 years.
Well, it started 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
Remember Nick
But-
Clegg?
Fucking mate. He's like an ambassador, public spokesperson for Facebook.
He's a waste man.
Sell out.
He's a waste man.
No,
But
that's
yeah,
an important point to make as well, is that like when the whole Brexit argument was,
Fiasco.
when that was brought to the table, Brexit actually wasn't decided on. So the Brexit that you would have envisioned is nothing like what has actually come to fruition.
These people saying we voted for no deal and that, like, are you fucking joking me? People wouldn't have voted leave if they were sitting there going, oh yeah, by the way, we probably won't have any trade with you. Do you know what I mean? No, they sold it. Nigel Farage said, Norway plus. Of course you got to trade with Europe. Like, are you a div? Like, you can't just not trade with the biggest trading bloc in the world.
do you agree with Farage?
No. I feel like...
Or blanket no, or...
Blanket no, because he changes with the wind. He hates Europe, and I hate Europe.
Yeah.
No, I hate the EU. I don't hate Europe. I feel very European.
Yeah.
But Farage, like I said, he sold Norway plus. Then he's sitting there going, well, Boris's deal's shit. We can't vote for that. Then 2 seconds later, he's campaigning for that deal. And now he's saying it's a heroic deal. And it's like... They just played to depending on the reaction they got from their base and being very like cut off all ties, fuck the trade, being very like non-realistic,
Well, bruv,
played
people were-
into their voter base. They
People
fucking
were
love
burning
that
the fucking
EU flag,
EU
bruv.
flag.
That's an act of war.
Yeah.
That is an act of war, bruv. Are you actually declaring war on the EU just because the Lib Dems wanted to cancel Brexit? Like, bruv, they didn't even care about Brexit when they first voted for it. They didn't care.
Yeah. The thing that was developed after World War II to
Yes.
prevent another one.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
and
it.
yet you're putting up a Nazi salute.
Yeah.
You're
a
a
Nazi
dickhead.
salute
You're
and
a
burn.
dickhead.
Exactly,
Any of you
Fuck
burning
you.
an EU flag, any of you putting up a Nazi salute, any of that.
Get out my
Bootlicker.
fucking country.
Bootlicker!
Yeah. Bootlicker. Woo! Pussy clut.
Wait, we have a Jamaican in the building. Can
Yeah,
you
do it.
just give us a pussy clut, please?
Pussy clod.
Ew, how Commonwealth.
Please don't put me on a flight.
Oh, mate. Can we even get into Windrush? That's a whole...
That's the next episode.
I don't think we've got a
Bro,
battery for that.
Oh, just one quick comment. Just for people, if you are thinking about it, and I know a lot of people do want to deport murderers and shit, and even though I disagree with that, you have got a point to at least debate on, in my opinion. But 56% of those getting deported were on drug offences. Drug offences. You might all act fucking swami at home and all that, innit? But we all know they go out and get on the fucking cook every weekend and smoke zoots. We all fucking do. Do you know what I mean? If you got caught with that and sent to a random country you'd never been to in your life, but your grandparent was from...
As far as
And
I'm
you've
concerned, if you're under 18, I'd say 18. If you're under 18,
Most of them were like 6,
Yeah,
8 years
if you're-
old,
but-
bruv. They're
but-
British.
but flat
That's all
out,
they've known.
flat out, if you're under 18 when you've come to this country, I think it should be. I don't think you should be allowed to be. Well,
Because
they
it's
shouldn't
not
be
your
allowed
choice
to
if
deport
you come here or not.
Exactly.
So you have to
It
be a
was a
citizen
parent's
of
choice.
that
If
country.
you're 18 plus and you go over there, it's almost a thing of
Well, yeah, 'cause
you
you've
knew what you were
grown up
doing.
in another
You knew what you were
country,
doing.
innit? Yeah.
You grew up there. Fuck off back to your own country. That I can actually agree with. Do you know what I mean?
The other
Like,
thing to say
but
about
if you're coming over when you're fucking so
Oh.
even 11,
Yeah.
like obviously at 11 we're all going to secondary school and all that. We've developed. We know who we are. Like,
But
bro,
you're not taking
if you-
part in
like,
society
bro,
yet,
if
are you? You ain't working in that.
If you grow up in say up north
Yeah.
and then you come down south
You're a
from 10
northerner,
plus,
innit?
from 10 plus, by the time you're 20,
Oh, yeah.
you're
yeah.
a southerner.
Yeah, well,
Do you know
that's
what
it.
I'm saying?
My dad moved down here from Manchester when he was at secondary school. And his Roger, his older brother, you could kind of tell. But outside of mannerisms, like my dad had a southern accent. You couldn't
Exactly.
tell, but he grew up in Manchester. But you couldn't tell because he'd been down here since he'd come down as a
Hey,
child. Do you know what I mean?
we get too into Windrush, innit? Let's back to
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
stay on.
Stop
we need to
deporting the fucking boys.
stay, yeah,
Stop it.
stop it.
Stop it.
But yeah, back to Brexit. I wanted to ask you,
Back to Brexit.
like, firstly, how did you feel about the whole leaving thing? Were you as embarrassed as I was?
Abso-bloody-lutely.
Yeah. Those little flags.
Yeah, and all that fucking just seeing loads of fucking... And, like, I know everyone, all the fucking poshos on Twitter are like, you can't laugh at... Even if you voted Remain, you can't laugh at people that didn't know what they were voting for. Because you can't laugh at working class voters and shit. And it's like, but fuck off. I am fucking working class. If some granny wants to step on the fucking mic after 4 years and still doesn't have a fucking reason for why she voted Brexit, she can fuck off. Like, bruv, we got to stop respecting being willfully misinformed. Like, why did you vote for this? You can't take the piss. But that is my nan. That's not like, you poshos can't fucking tell me that I can't tell my own people. They're being fucking idiots and they're getting spun. Yeah. Like, and it's pissing me off.
I think it's good. I think it's good for people to hear you talk about this opinion, because I feel like the only people really expressing this opinion is people on my side, the Remainers. They're the ones all coming out and being like,
and then it's
bro,
like loaded, isn't
like,
it? Yeah.
Like probably 78% of the leavers are fucking idiots. Like you saw them interviews, innit?
Yeah.
You saw a lot of them interviews on that day.
As soon as I started seeing that, I thought, I think I've made the wrong fucking decision.
Yeah, because
like,
but that's the thing, because you then sit there and you feel like, I'm
That's
them.
not what I meant.
I'm just as bad as them. I meant this, but all these people are going on about there's going to be no more immigrants. There's going to be just as many.
I can't wait to get the Syrians out.
Yeah, bro, they're here, they're staying. You're not doing shit.
Boy, Syria's not in Europe. And Europeans will still be coming here.
Yeah. But it's fucking...
Because the EU doesn't control our borders. Oh, that was a big one.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, it turns out it's got nothing to do with...
but that's the thing, they don't...
We're protecting idiocy as well. Like, no, they had a right to be that stupid about their vote.
Yeah, they had a right to vote. We should respect the vote.
Yeah.
Like, I hate when people tell me I should respect the vote.
Yeah, people that say the electorate can't be wrong, but the electorate are people. Can people be wrong? Yes. Yeah. So of course the fucking they voted the Nazis in.
Yeah, exactly.
People can be wrong.
Yeah.
The English government called Mandela a terrorist right up until the end. Yeah. People can be wrong.
Yeah.
We gave reparations to slave owners. People can be wrong. And on that note...
That's a knowledge bomb right there.
And on that note, my friends, it's time to wrap up.
Wait, sorry, I just before we wrap up,
I was just so tempted to just get that out. We might not even be wrapping up.
We'll wrap up.
All right,
we'll wrap up. But right. I wanted to ask you like one more question.
Yes.
And it was like,
is you gay?
Like, will you accept me? No, I just wanted to, like, just coming off the Brexit and the whole kind of being in, like, blah blah blah, how you felt about the leaving and that. I wanted to ask you, are you proud to be British? Oh, that silence. Oh, that silence.
If you asked me, it's a difficult one, because
we're not wrapping up, folks.
I would, yeah. It's only just begun. No, I would like to say that I'm proud to be British, but I'm not proud to be British. I am. But I get you. I look around and I go,
yeah, innit? You're like,
that ain't me, innit?
You're like, I love the fact that I speak the language I speak. I love the fact that
we have done some good things.
I love
it
the
just doesn't outweigh the bad.
Yeah, it's like, I look at it as if I look back and I'm like, wow, we really revolutionised the world in quite a lot of ways.
Workers' rights and shit, like the socialist, working class movements, I should say, not socialist, bad connotations. Working class movements and shit, getting workers' rights and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's mad.
Even just being the same culture as someone like Stephen Hawking or something, you look at it and you're like, wow, the fact that
tiny island,
the fact that this tiny island, we've done so much, had so much power. Obviously, a lot of fuckeries in the past, but won't get into that. But like, I feel like back then that's what it was to be British. Yeah. But now it's now it's what it is to be British.
Yeah, to hate foreigners, be a bootlicker, bow to power and authority,
But everything's
ignore
okay
facts.
because Love Island's on at 9 p.m. tonight.
Yeah, it's
And that's the thing. And
your daughter's
Joe,
got a Fiat Punto.
Yeah.
Everything's fucking cool.
I think we're all pushed into this lifestyle by the media that's like,
If you don't like Sunday roast,
if you
you're
don't
not
like
British.
if you don't like Sunday roast,
Shit like-
if
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
like Love Island, if you don't watch X Factor, if you
support immigration,
if you support immigration, if you're fucking, do you know what I mean?
if you think
all these,
it's the government's cuts and not foreign immigration that strain the NHS and welfare,
yeah, you are
then
flat
you
out
hate your
retarded.
own country.
You
Yeah.
are flat out retarded.
if you hate the same fucking Eton boys that have been oppressing the working peoples of this country since the island was inhabited, then you aren't British. Yeah, it's all bollocks. If you don't like the royal family that's oppressed your own people, then you're the one that doesn't support your own people. It's just all paradoxical. None of it makes sense if you go to the next point.
Yeah, and I think one thing that made me kind of feel like I wasn't proud to be British is
Fact that you're Greek.
whenever you, hey, my Greek man.
Well, that's it. We've all got somewhere to fuck off
Yeah,
to.
we can
So
go.
that's like the slut, innit?
Yeah, we got some outside sauce, but fuck it. I mean, like like speaking of like foreign countries and that, I think one thing that really makes me almost embarrassed to be British is Brits abroad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, them English lot are coming in it. Like, oh, they're just gonna fucking drink,
Yep.
cause some havoc and go, way! And because there's a bunch of white people with their shirts off, all shouting and throwing beers over some innocent bartender or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm meant to be
Harassing
proud
girls
to be
and
part
shit.
of that.
Yeah.
You're not representing our country.
Nope.
And yet these are the people who stand up to represent it the most.
Yes. Yeah.
They're the people,
Yeah.
I'm fighting,
Yeah.
St. George, I'll paint a fucking St. George's flag on
Yeah.
my fucking beer belly.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then you've got all these other people who are just like, don't live that fucking degenerate lifestyle.
No. Purposefully degenerate. That's the point
yes,
as well.
purposefully.
These ain't
And
poor kids.
We have this.
These ain't kids that are growing up
That's
in
the
some
thing.
mad.
We
Fucking,
have this mad entitled culture of just thinking. Well, yeah, just thinking we're entitled to shit. Because like you get it's almost like it's now a human right to be able to go and drink on the weekend.
Yeah.
No, you're fucking brainwashed. If you're
Yeah.
going and drinking every weekend, you're fucking brainwashed.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You've got a fucking drug addiction and you're brainwashed.
Yeah. You can't think
Like-
of your own entertainment. So you have to
Exactly.
go out and have other people give it to you. innit?
Exactly. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going out
But
and
we-
drinking.
do you know
Go
what? It
have
all
your
plays-
fun. But it's when you're sitting there and I'm like the reason I say this is because it's messages that are pushed by the media and it's like
Be
oh,
stupid, be
yeah,
ignorant. That's
yeah,
our way,
yeah.
and that also then leads
oh
perfectly
yeah
into
that's
political
just
success.
or even that's just a student meal. What do you
Yeah.
mean that's just a student meal? These guys are fucking up their health to get an education.
Yeah.
I fucked up my health to get an education.
Yeah.
The reason you've not fucked up your health to get an education was because you lived at home. If you'd have gone away, you would have probably fucked up your health for a little bit to get an education.
Yeah.
It's fucked. And yet, to be British means to accept that students are going to fuck up their health. To be British means to accept that these politicians are going to lie and that's just the way it is. The reason to be British is, to go out drinking every weekend, to fuck up your bodies with alcohol because it's wrong to smoke a joint because that's illegal, but daytime TV, I'll have a bottle of wine, loose women.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Just
Bitch,
remember,
shut up.
bruv, just remember who these
I'm getting mad.
people's. Oh no, that's it. I'll
getting
take the baton from you. I'll take it from you, bro.
too, I'm getting
Chill.
mad.
No, but you got to remember, one thing to remember is who is their arch nemesis?
Who?
Yeah.
What the proud Brit?
The proud Brit, yeah.
Immigrants?
Anyone apart from the immigrants, but like their two main British nemesis, because foreigners can't be British, can they?
Oh yeah.
You got
yeah.
even if they came here from birth, is that students
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and
Lefties.
people, and
Snowflakes.
people that want to use the system around them to make their lives better. They see it all as like pretentious bullshit. That's not how we just fucking work ourselves into the ground, boy. Didn't you know?
Yeah.
And all that shit.
That's
and it's like,
the way
no,
it is.
that's
That's
what
what
your
you're meant to
fucking
do.
boss told you because there was no other way of convincing you to do that shitty
That's
job.
what school
Like,
taught you.
Yeah, exactly.
You were
And
taught
you
to be a
can't,
bootlicker.
You can't critically think. You can't think for yourself. You can only take opinions and decide whether you think that suits you more. Identity politics. They play identity politics. It's not us. It ain't us playing identity politics. It's them. It's always been them.
Yeah.
They started the culture war.
Yeah.
It's their doing.
Preach.
It's all, yeah, bro. Honestly, it's all them. You can take it. Oh, just mate. I don't. Yeah,
Shall I take the baton?
raging out. Yeah, piss me off, man. Because that's my people, innit? Like that's who I grew up with. That's who I feel when I see people look at them. I feel like whether they do or not, and especially if you know me, you won't. But like, I feel like that's what people look at me and think. And it's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, what other country in the world thinks, cool, if they find out I'm British, that's a bit fucking embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not embarrassed of us. I'm not embarrassed of the good things we've done. But I'm embarrassed by the fact that it all hangs on the want to be ignorant.
Yeah.
That's so fucked, man.
I
That's
think
not proud. That's not
there's
pride. That's
it's-
not pride.
It's a detrimental mindset,
Yeah.
and I think
It only supports them at the
I
top.
think-
It don't support you, bro.
And I think one thing it sort of is the catalyst for is a lot of the drug problems which aren't being talked about. We'll talk about knife crime all day because it's the black boys. The black boys are causing all the trouble.
It's easy to
But-
put a perpetrator to it.
But
so
let me ask you this. Do you know about more people who have killed and stabbed and all this, or do you know more middle class white boys who are fucking 10 packs of benzos deep this year?
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
Not this fucking century, this fucking year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, bruv, there's such a culture of and this sort of feeds into the whole what I was saying before about the weekend drinking culture.
Yeah.
Because then you get the people who are left out of that, who don't necessarily, or they are hooked into that so much that it ends up going from drink to a bit of Charlie, and then when the Charlie's not doing it, oh bro, you tried these pills and that. It's not like Mandy, it's a next pill. It's gonna make you feel. And then bro, like how many times like I'm not gonna name any names in it, but we personally know countless people, countless
Yeah.
people who have either died at a young, I'm talking under 23.
Too fucking early.
They've either died from overdosing on these drugs, Little Peep style shit.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Little Peep is, go look it up.
Yeah.
Little Peep style deaths, or our friend who we were talking about earlier, sadly enough, tried something for the first time and he drowned. And it's a thing of and I think, not to get at them, but I think UK hip hop kind of plays into that as well. And I don't respect a lot of UK hip hop artists.
Drug taking into like a middle class sort of culture.
Exactly.
And like that's not what your
And then-
parents worked for, innit?
I'll
That's
link
not
up
what
with
they worked
people
for.
and they'll be like, I've just been getting on it all week, innit? I'll be like,
Why?
what, did you
You've
just
been at a party? Is it your birthday?
No, I'm just like I'm not having a good time and that. And it's like, yeah, and then when I'm trying to talk to you, you can't even string a fucking sentence together.
Yeah.
Like, and the people who are taking it don't realise how much it's doing to them. And then they end up, if they're not dead, they're in a psych ward.
Yeah.
And boy, do we know a lot of people who have ended up there.
Yeah.
Middle class white kids.
They tell themselves ignorance is bliss. Ignorance
and the
is
media,
bliss.
the media's going to
Ignorance is
tell
bliss.
you that the drug problem is around the drug dealers and
Yeah, it's
more time
inner city areas
and-
where all the minorities hang.
yeah. And when they say drug dealers, they mean
black boys.
They mean black boys.
Yeah.
More time, innit?
Yeah. Not
Like,
even Asian boys.
yeah, not
nothing
even
like
the
that.
Asian
They just mean black boys.
Yeah,
That's how they
exactly.
demonize them. innit?
It's the same as what Tyler the Creator said. Instead of saying
Also,
urban,
the black culture should take responsibility and stop glorifying it as well. Like you can make money without glorifying bad shit. You
Yeah.
can, and people are doing it, and they're not getting the spotlight, which again is not black people's fault. But the black culture that is celebrated by white people is the negative culture.
Yeah. Which unfortunately is the music scene.
And it all ties back, but it all ties back to the media, ain't it?
all
They're
ties back
not
to
the
the
fucking
media.
yeah, like they're the fucking victims of this situation, innit? Not the fucking media, not fucking white people, middle class, completely unthreatened retirees who just voted the Tories in because just cause
the boomers who are voting for the Tories, the repercussions of their vote is the reason why their kid died of an overdose.
yeah, exactly.
That's the reason.
yeah.
And you're sitting there thinking, oh, Boris isn't going to stop that bloody Corbyn. He'll probably make weed legal and all this.
Yeah,
blah,
yeah.
blah, blah.
He'll probably give money to those black criminals in the
trust.
streets.
Yeah,
He'll fund
breakfast, mate.
yeah,
yeah.
He's French toast, isn't he? Fucking, yeah, no, like they're the people who are gonna and like I was actually having a chat with my parents about this, and I was trying to explain to them how their generation is very unaware of the drug taking culture of middle class white kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking bad.
Mickey Flanagan,
It's
you know Mickey
terrible.
Flanagan, the comedian.
Yeah,
Admittedly, he ain't middle class from the East End, working class as fuck. But even he said it. He said, when we were younger, it was kids hiding taking drugs from the adults, and when we're older, it's gonna be the adults hiding taking drugs from their kids.
Yeah,
Because there's
everyone's
such a culture of it.
such a culture now, and because
Even
everyone,
even my mum's mates are like that.
yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? They got kids and that. They still bang on it, and that. Like, obviously, they're a little bit more responsible, and they'll. Do you know what I mean? They don't do it every weekend and shit. But
we're talking
it's a
more
culture.
about we're talking
and
more
now
about
it's got
like the,
worse for our age and to 35.
we're talking more about the Valium.
Yeah,
the
that's it.
fucking-
It's not.
the
They
Xanax-
ain't going
the Xanax
raves no more,
culture,
boy.
like-
They're
yeah,
just
no,
sitting there at home.
Sitting
like,
there and bruv, have you ever spoke to someone on Xanax?
yeah, don't.
Yeah, you
Don't.
can't. It's not a
My
conversation. It's
birds
a,
mates went through a period of hanging out like that and doing that, and I was just like, no, I don't want no part of that. Like slyly kind of hinted, yeah, I ain't gonna be with someone who's always around that, innit? Because it's just
as
like,
you should.
their
though,
fucking
because we
parents are what? Do you know what I mean? Like when you do grow up with fuck all. And then you just see people living their lives like that. It's such a fucking stab in the heart, and you're just like,
But do you know why?
what's the point
do you
in
know why I
working
think
hard?
it
What's the
is?
point? Because your fucking kids just end up like that, bruv.
Do
Like,
you know why I think it is about the reason that these middle class white boys are falling into that thing of taking drugs all the time? One word: boredom.
yeah.
Boredom. There's nothing for them to do, and they're sitting there in their same little ass town.
It's exactly what
they're
kids
sitting there
fuck about when we was younger and that, and vandalise and start fights and shit and all
Yeah.
that, because we were fucking bored.
They're in their one horse town, and the only prospect is getting a job in that town.
Yeah.
There's not going to LA and being a big star. There's not. That's why there's like the American dream, which is a culture which is why so many Americans go from nothing to something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas here it's just, well, you just fucking go in, you can make sure you wake up at 6, and then you go in, and then you work a job you hate, and then blah blah blah, and then people sit there and they live this lifestyle from 16 to 18, get sick of it, and end up getting on the gear every weekend, end up losing their job, end up taking benzos every day.
Well,
And
this
it's just
is
a
it, 'cause
cycle.
they look down on, say,
And that is British culture. That's white British culture.
the sort of kid that I
And if you-
unfortunately
and-
was
sorry,
when I was younger gets looked down upon. But not to that sub story, but like that comes from like underlying issues and shit, and there being a group of kids that like have all got pretty fucking shitty home lives in it, and when you're all
Yeah.
together and you all bounce off each other and that, like shit happens, like, and that's looked down upon, even though by the time we get to 25 we'd have sorted our fucking lives out. Do you know what I mean? Some of us might have gone in jail and come out and that, but do you know what I mean? Pretty much all of us are on the straight and narrow now, unless you're still earning the big bucks and that. But do you know what I mean? That's for some. You know what I mean? Some people are successful at what they do in that, in every industry.
Trap stars.
But yeah, exactly, and they're doing their thing. But that's looked down upon more than somebody making like that adult choice to just get fucked up on drugs.
Every weekend.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it on
Yeah.
a Monday night, it's all right.
Like, we needed help, and we were children. We weren't adults then. We were kids. And people would look at you, and it's just like, oh, the yob culture, the youth culture. Like, what about the fucking adult culture? Like, like you say, yeah. What about all that destructiveness that comes from, like you say, boredom and shit? It doesn't come from, like, needing help or needing a bit of advice or needing an arm around you sort of thing. Like, that just comes from bad government as well. Bad fucking government. There's nothing for no one anywhere, and if there is, you're surrounded by fucking crime and shit. It's just such a lack of planning and forward thinking in this country.
It's come to the point that you're that used to it that when someone different with a plan comes to actually put something like that forward,
Corbyn, People are insulted
People
by
are
it.
insulted by it and shoot it down.
Yeah.
Like, it's
What do you-
actually
Because they're
mad.
scared. They can't
Yeah.
accept
It's
something
actually mad.
different.
Well, this is it. A
They
lot of
can't
people in the
accept something
Focos
different.
groups were saying things like, it's unrealistic. Why does he think that we need help? Why does he think that? And it's like, boy, like, you don't even know the world you've left us, do you?
Yeah.
Like, you actually have not got a clue.
Yeah.
Oh, but climate change is a bit of a lie. And it's like, no.
Have you seen Australia?
Some things are lies, yeah. But abusing the soil, go get a garden, all right? Abuse the fuck out of that garden, yeah. Heat it up, etc., etc. Try and grow some plants on it. Ain't gonna fucking work, is it? Like people, just because like the CO2 shit might not be that true or whatever, or there might be better ways to control the temperature, doesn't mean that it's not. Do you know what I mean? That there isn't an action and a reaction.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like this denial that like. No, everything's it's very hard to like put into a few words because it goes into so many different things.
And I think with the British culture as well, we're quite in denial about the problems that are causing our
So
problems.
it's hard to unpack.
Because the reason I say that and what kind of spurred me to talk about British culture and alcoholism. I was watching the other day Ross Kemp in Papua New Guinea. You know, the clip where he's like, "You're not gonna shoot me. You're not gonna shoot me."
No, is that the one when they're
It's
in
that
the
one,
woods?
innit? Yeah. So I was watching that episode,
Mad.
and one thing I noticed was he's walking around. He's sort of talking about a lot of the problems that Papua New Guinea have and blah blah blah. Obviously, a very fucked up country.
Yeah.
But
My
he's
nan was born there on my mum's side.
mad too.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Must have been when Australia was. It must have been just before independence. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I don't
But anyway,
know. I don't know much about
Might be
her.
getting in
But-
trouble. Smart.
yeah.
You know.
But but one thing
We'll get back you two on that. Next
Yeah.
one
I
thing
think it was Papua New Guinea.
no, one thing I noticed though was he's going round and he's talking about all this crime and stuff and blah blah blah, and nothing's really happening. Like, people are talking about shit that's gone on, and obviously there's a lot of bad shit that's gone on, but you're not actually seeing anything happen until one point, and that's when he's in this little village bit and they start drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, about 6 people, someone's drawn a knife, some people are fighting and that. And the reason I say that is because we can sit there, like, let's use Ross Kemp's opinion as, say, the UK's opinion in a way, because he's British in it. So you got a kind of, as a blanket statement, not that everyone will agree, but he's looking at it and thinking, yeah, all your problems are coming from alcohol. And so we as the British public, we're watching that. He's narrating it for us, so we're thinking, yeah, all your problems come from alcohol. We're so quick to look over there, but we can never look over here.
No.
We can never look over here. We can never
do it
turn.
right.
No. Because we drink in a pub rather than fucking moonshine.
Yeah.
Like, bro, the only difference between that is if you're gonna go blind or not. Not whether you're gonna be violent. The reason you're gonna be violent is because of your surroundings and because of, guess what?
Yeah.
Your fucking alcohol.
Do you know when it hit me? Like, you had that little moment when it hit you. It hit me when Theresa May said she's going to discuss a trade deal over a bottle of whiskey. And I just thought, you fucking what? Like, by the time, and my granddad, rest in peace and that, was a fucking alcoholic. And you deserve to be fucking told off for it, innit? Because, do you know what I mean? Bring your own fucking demise onto yourself. He used to drink a bottle of whiskey, like, every night. Boy, when he got to the end of that whiskey, I could ask him for whatever the fuck I wanted. Yeah. And he'd be like, oh, it's fucking... do you know what I mean?
Yeah, whiskey can
How
punch you
are
in the
you
face.
fucking doing fucking government deals
over
over whiskey? Why? There's a fucking bar in Parliament.
And this goes back to what you said
That
before.
Fuck.
This needs to be taken out of these people's hands.
Yeah. Cool.
Things
If there's
need
a
to
bar
be
there, they'll
different.
use it. But fuck,
Things need to be fucking
radical
different.
change isn't as radical as you
But
think
I think
it
that
is.
that whole drinking culture says something a lot deeper about society as a whole. What did Nietzsche say about the two great European narcotics?
Yes.
And
church and alcohol.
Yeah, and the whole reason that, like, using alcohol. It's the reason I stopped drinking. By the way, I don't drink. I'm not a vegan.
Teetotal.
but
He's basically a vegan. He may as well
I'm a
be.
lefty. Snowflake. I don't drink. Vegan. Got a Tumblr account. Post on it sometimes.
Yes.
No,
I don't support men's rights. Only females.
Don't have a nose piercing yet. Dom, yeah, next week. But but no. Reason I stopped drinking is something I realised about. Probably going back to saying about what Nietzsche was saying about a suppressant for pain.
Yes.
Like the reason we feel pain is because we need. It's a natural thing, pain. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it happens because something's not right. Yeah. It's your body's way of warning you that something isn't right.
Yeah.
And to keep suppressing that, using either alcohol, drugs, anything, to keep suppressing that makes you lethargic and lazy and stops you from addressing the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mate, drink and domestic assault go hand in hand like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most violence, most situations.
The biggest
go
drinking
hand in hand with
communities have the
alcohol.
biggest rates of domestics. It's just a plain fact.
Papua New Guinea. Go watch the episode. That
Yeah.
highlights exactly that.
Yeah.
But
Exactly that.
How deeply ingrained it's become into culture. You look at problems that we have that we just. So you're saying about like your granddad would just write himself off. It's like people will work these jobs they hate doing, and
But
on
it's
the
all
weekend
right because the
go out-
weekend,
yeah,
live
they
for
go
the
out,
weekend,
and it's that
innit?
this whole fucking thing about Friday feeling.
Live
And I
to
don't know-
forget the night before.
Mate,
Makes
it's-
no sense
mate,
philosophically.
Do you know what? A lot
Can
of
you
this
imagine
stuff
that in
really,
the future? Like you got like Plato and all of these the quotes of like the generation, and then it's just like I don't know, Stephanie, live for the weekend, live for a good time, not
Mate.
a long time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mate, I still
how is
can't-
that so fucking human? People forget that we're part of like an animal species that needs to survive and shit.
On
like,
that note, yeah, I still can't wait for the day they're playing Little Peep in fucking retirement homes.
yeah, large up.
No, but the whole idea of that, like being deeply ingrained into our culture and the way that we use that, like people every week will go out and get fucked up to forget their problems. If you don't like your job, there's a reason that you feel pain about that. You need to do something proactively to change that.
Yeah.
Not go and numb it every weekend. Do you know what I mean? There's a quick example.
People
like my
don't
mate,
believe they can change it though as well. That's the thing. I think that's why people think Corbyn was so unbelievable.
Yeah, it's
Because
that
no
whole-
one's ever actually just been like, well, you can just change it. Like it's not a law
You know,
set
there's
by
some
God.
fucked
It's a
up
law
things
that
going
we
on.
just set up.
That we should just stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't want to accept that it could have just been that simple the whole way, and that it's actually been an ideology of ours not to be good.
an
Do you know
idea
what I
I've
mean?
just had. Right, so you
Kill
know
them all.
that's not the opinion of Sky Sports.
Exterminate.
Yeah, just a quick idea because this might be a good thing to round things up actually on this topic.
Yeah.
Right, so you know Britannia, you know what Britannia is.
Yeah.
No.
You've seen her on the 50p coin.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, he ain't. He's fucking,
Fucking-
you know,
fucking
one of
get
them.
him out. One of
Well,
them.
Britannia was the sort of personification of what the Romans said
Did I
was
just hear saying
everything.
turn off?
Something's about to turn off.
All right,
so-
well, anyway.
Yeah, no, sorry.
It was the
keep going.
personification of what the Romans said everything was to be British in a goddess form. What would your modern day Britannia be?
I think that's a question for the comments. Cause this
Yeah,
camera's
go
on.
That's a question for the comments.
that's
That's
a
a good
question
question
for the
for the comments, and we'll add ours as well to the comments.
Yeah.
I'll add mine.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah,
Couple
thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks, boys. I feel like we had a good chat there, actually.
Yeah.
Put the world to rights as per. And if you want to hear more of that, subscribe, like, share. But as long as you subscribe and like it, you'll keep getting it in your feeds and that, which is what we want. We want people who
Notification
enjoy the
bells.
content to keep watching the content. There ain't a lot of people having such open conversations that don't have someone in the room with some sort of material agenda. And I know it sounds a bit crazy, innit? But this is quite rare.
It's true.
And
it's true.
we appreciate every bit of support that we get. And we will continue to be as open as possible. Because that's the thing. It don't matter about how fucking smart you are, how well read you are and that. As long as you're open, accepting and willing, the truth will come out. Cream will rise to the top, innit?
Yeah. I think we just wanna, with this, we wanna just like be honest about topics that a lot of people are just dancing around.
Yeah, like we're by no means like proper fucking experts.
Yeah.
I mean, I do put in a lot of time to research so that I don't get things factually wrong. And then we can actually have a conversation based on something true. But yeah,
Yeah.
exactly what you said, my friend.
Yeah.
Nah, sweet. The next episode will be up soon. Keep liking, keep sharing, keep viewing, keep listening, keep watching, keep talking about it, keep laughing about it. live life, love.
Yeah, let us know what you think about like the topics we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Whether you have a different opinion,
Even if you fucking hate it, tell us,
yeah,
innit?
yeah,
And we'll
we'd love
get better for you, innit? Like,
Yeah.
we if you feel like we're too biased or something, then bro, like, we can take an episode to go over those biases,
yeah.
whatever.
And the camera just died, so
Yeah, salute.
see you later.